Takeru lay weak in the hospital after surviving a serious accident. Slowly, his eyes opened as confusion filled his mind. The unfamiliar feeling around him made reality seem different. Back in high school, cruel students constantly targeted the black-haired young man because he looked weak and helpless. Fear controlled Takeru, leaving him unable to resist the pain and humiliation. Deep hatred grew inside him toward both the bullies and the people who ignored his suffering. Takeru spent lonely nights wishing for a chance to restart his miserable life. Suddenly, a strange voice welcomed him as his consciousness slowly faded away. Moments later, the black-haired young man appeared inside a sacred hall in another world. People called him the Messiah and treated him with respect. An old man explained that a demon lord threatened the entire world with destruction. Although fear remained inside him, Takeru believed this new world could finally change his fate. Takeru finally succeeded in using magic after repeated failures during his training. Beside him, Saint Edelweiss watched proudly as the black-haired young man slowly gained confidence, determined to change himself. Takeru fought monsters across the dangerous alternate world without giving up. Countless battles hardened his body and mind, allowing him to survive against powerful enemies. After defeating the demon lord, fear spread among the kingdom. The rulers eventually branded Takeru as a monster and prepared his public execution. After defeating the demon lord, Takeru was chained with magic sealing braces by the kingdom he once protected. Fear spread across the nation as people viewed the black-haired hero as a dangerous beast. Instead of a savior, kneeling before the execution platform, Takeru quietly accepted the hatred surrounding him. Citizens shouted for his death while guards prepared to carry out the sentence without hesitation. Exhausted by betrayal and endless suffering, Takeru lowered his head and faced his execution in silence. As the execution began, Saint Edelweiss desperately tried to stop the soldiers while the crowd demanded Takeru's death. For the first time, the black-haired young man realized someone truly cared about him despite the hatred surrounding him. Moments later, the blade struck Takeru and ended the life he had spent suffering through both worlds. Darkness consumed his fading consciousness as his final thoughts slowly disappeared. Soon afterward, Takeru opened his eyes inside a hospital room, returning once again to modern Japan. Takeru slowly realized he had awakened inside a hospital in Japan instead of the alternate world. Confusion filled the black-haired young man as memories of his execution remained clear in his mind. While lying silently on the bed, Takeru questioned whether the years spent fighting in another world had only been a dream. Rather than panic, he decided to calmly understand his current situation first. After checking his reflection, Takeru became shocked when he noticed his appearance had completely changed from before. Pain spread through Takeru's body as he realized multiple fractures still remained after the accident. Using the magic learned in the alternate world, the black-haired young man carefully healed his injuries. Soon afterward, every wound disappeared, leaving his body completely restored. That miracle proved his memories were real, not a dream created by his mind. While checking his condition, sudden footsteps echoed from outside the room. His mother and the doctor froze in disbelief after witnessing Takeru move freely despite his severe condition. To avoid suspicion, Takeru pretended to suffer memory loss and hid the truth about his bullying and otherworldly experiences. A false story about falling from the school rooftop was prepared to explain his injuries. During the examination, the doctor remained shocked that such severe wounds had vanished completely overnight. Soon after, Takeru's parents arrived at the hospital and reacted emotionally after seeing him awake and healthy again. Tears filled his father's eyes as he tightly embraced the black-haired young man in relief. Relief filled Takeru's mother as she held him tightly. Grateful that her son had survived the accident, seeing their kindness made the black-haired young man realize he had been raised with genuine love in this world. Memories of St. Edelweiss also crossed his mind. Although confusion still remained, Takeru quietly decided to continue living until he understood everything surrounding his return. After many medical examinations confirmed his perfect health, the hospital allowed him to leave soon afterward. During the ride home, Takeru noticed Japan's technology looked far more advanced than the world he remembered. While traveling home, Takeru noticed the city looked cleaner and more advanced than the Japan he remembered. News broadcasts soon revealed that 40 years had passed since the life he once knew ended in 2000. Shock spread across the black-haired young man after learning monsters existed openly in modern Japan and hunters now fought to protect society. His parents casually admired the hunters, believing their strength was something ordinary and admirable. Watching the battle reminded Takeru of the brutal fights he survived in the alternate world. During the hunters' battle against monsters, dark magic suddenly spread across the street without warning. While driving away, Takeru noticed the strange attack closely resembled the dangerous magic used in the alternate world. Moments later, a massive black slash rushed directly toward the family's vehicle at terrifying speed. Realizing the danger instantly, the black-haired young man cast a protective barrier around his parents. A violent impact destroyed the car as the attack crashed into them before anyone could escape safely. After the violent crash, Takeru quickly checked his parents and confirmed they were unharmed behind his protective magic. Dark energy continued spreading nearby as the black-haired young man recognized the phenomenon from the alternate world. A dangerous gate break suddenly opened above the street, causing monsters to appear before terrified civilians. Several massive ogres stepped out from the distorted space while Takeru stared at them in shock. Remembering their terrifying strength, he realized ordinary people would never survive against creatures like those monsters. Takeru realized he still possessed the power and magic skills needed to defeat the monsters before more people died. Memories of his public execution returned, reminding the black-haired young man how society destroyed those who stood out. That painful experience taught him that unusual people were always feared and rejected by others. Despite wanting to help, Takeru feared exposing abilities that did not belong to his current identity. Choosing to avoid attention, he turned away from the battle and decided to run from the scene instead. While escaping with nearby civilians, Takeru suddenly noticed an ogre charging toward them from behind. Without time to think, the black-haired young man stepped forward and activated defensive magic to block the monster's attack. A powerful burst of flame exploded from his hand and struck the ogre directly before it could kill anyone. The monster collapsed instantly, allowing the frightened civilians to escape safely from the street. Although relieved that he protected them, Takeru realized he had exposed the dangerous powers he wanted to keep hidden. After defeating the ogre, Takeru realized another attack had struck the monster immediately after his own magic. From above the street, a mysterious blonde girl silently observed the destroyed creature and the black-haired young man. The sudden appearance of the unfamiliar girl made Takeru feel that greater trouble was approaching. After surviving the accident, Takeru followed the black-haired young man and his sister through the quiet neighborhood. Reaching the house, he silently observed the family welcoming him inside, while strange memories surfaced. Soon afterward, Takeru searched for clues about Kusanagi and carefully examined the room. Nothing useful appeared during his inspection, leaving him suspicious about the missing diary rather than finding secrets. Takeru discovered embarrassing magazines and quickly lost interest in searching further. Takeru found several hunter magazines and realized the previous owner admired powerful hunters. While reading further, he learned about ranking systems, celebrity hunters, and famous guilds across Japan. One note especially caught his attention because it mentioned a guild the former Takeru wanted to join. As night deepened, he struggled to understand modern technology after spending years in another world. Suddenly, a loud notification from the phone startled Takeru and broke the silence inside the room. Using the unfamiliar phone, Takeru checked Kusanagi's messages and discovered angry complaints from someone named Araki. The threatening words triggered dark memories of several students surrounding the former Takeru. After reading further, he realized Kusanagi had been constantly bullied by his so-called friends at school. Another message suddenly arrived, warning him about expensive charges for sending strange images. Panicking over the possible cost, Takeru shouted loudly until the girl reminded him the house already had Wi-Fi. The girl informed Takeru that he could avoid school for a while because of his amnesia. During the following days, he stayed inside the room and studied modern devices and information. While researching, Takeru learned that gates connecting Earth to another world had appeared 30 years earlier. As monsters spread across the world, magicians emerged and fought creatures that normal weapons could not defeat. After understanding the situation better, Takeru quietly left the house to observe the outside world himself. Takeru learned that magicians were called magi, while monster slayers became hunters protecting society. While walking through the city, he continued reading about gates and the duties hunters carried. The crowded streets made Takeru pause as he quietly observed how peaceful modern Japan seemed. Around him, ordinary people continued their daily routines without fear despite the dangerous world. Even after adapting to the information, Takeru still felt disconnected from the society surrounding him. Standing beneath the evening sky, Takeru realized this peaceful world felt completely different from the one he remembered. Although 40 years had passed, loneliness still followed him as he wandered through the unfamiliar city. Suddenly, a purse snatcher rushed past the crowd while frightened pedestrians shouted for help. Watching the criminal use magic to escape, Takeru calmly activated physical enhancement and chased after him. Within seconds, Takeru overtook the thief and slammed him into the ground with overwhelming speed. After catching the thief, Takeru awkwardly accepted the family's grateful praise for his overwhelming speed. Realizing he had moved too quickly, Takeru quietly promised himself to act more carefully next time. The elderly woman gently offered him candy as thanks. Leaving Takeru confused by the simple kindness, Soon afterward, he helped massage the grandmother's shoulders while the child happily watched beside them. Hearing the little girl call out to him, Takeru suddenly felt an unfamiliar warmth in his chest. For the first time in years, Takeru smiled sincerely after receiving kindness from complete strangers. As he left the family behind, Takeru realized some important parts of humanity had never changed. While hurrying home through the dark streets, he suddenly sensed someone approaching from behind. Before the attacker could strike, Takeru reacted instantly and avoided the reckless ambush with ease. The blonde delinquent then confronted Takeru directly, revealing himself as the person behind the threatening messages. Takeru recognized the blonde delinquent as Araki and calmly faced him in the empty street. Hearing Araki demand proper respect, Takeru realized bullying and arrogance had not changed even after many years. Araki aggressively demanded respect while cornering Takeru in the deserted alley. Despite the insults and intimidation, Takeru calmly observed the familiar behavior without fear. Years earlier, someone like Araki would have terrified him enough to stop resisting completely. After surviving battles against dragons and deadly monsters in another world, Takeru found the delinquent almost harmless. A quiet smile appeared on Takeru's face as he realized the fear controlling his past no longer affected him. Araki angrily attacked Takeru while mocking the weakness of his former self. Instead of reacting immediately, Takeru calmly considered a way to stop the fight without attracting attention. Once Araki insulted his parents, Takeru instantly lost patience and moved forward. His fist struck Araki's face with overwhelming force before the delinquent could react. The powerful blow sent Araki flying across the street while Takeru quietly watched the result. After warning Araki not to insult his parents again, Takeru noticed the delinquent preparing offensive magic. Before Araki could attack, a sudden gate break erupted nearby and shocked both of them. A monstrous creature immediately struck Araki and sent him crashing through the street. Seeing Araki barely alive, Takeru understood the monster would kill him next without hesitation. With civilians nearby and no time to waste, Takeru activated physical enhancement and charged toward the monster. The monster rushed forward at terrifying speed while Takeru calmly faced the attack alone. Using physical enhancement, Takeru slipped past the creature's massive arm without slowing down. His fist pierced deeply into the monster's body and shattered its core instantly. Dark blood exploded across the street as the wounded creature staggered backward in confusion. Within moments, the monster collapsed completely while Takeru stood silently before the remains. Takeru quietly stared at the monster's destroyed body after defeating it with a single strike. Although the battle ended, he realized the unstable gate still remained dangerously active nearby. Using magic from the other world, Takeru destroyed the gate before anyone else noticed it. Soon afterward, he sensed people approaching and immediately decided to leave the scene. When investigators arrived later, a blonde girl was shocked after seeing the ogre defeated in one attack. Investigators discovered the ogre had already been killed before they reached the destroyed area. While examining the scene, they found Araki injured and claiming a classmate defeated the monster alone. After hearing the report, the blonde hunter doubted Araki's story because his injuries looked too minor. Even so, she eventually dismissed the incident as a misunderstanding and prepared to leave the scene. As people recognized the famous rank hunter Takamine Sakura nearby, she quietly wondered who truly defeated the ogre. After leaving the investigation site, Sakura silently reflected on the mysterious hunter behind the incident. The destroyed gate and defeated ogre convinced her that someone stronger than herself existed in the town. Meanwhile, Takeru calmly ate dinner with the family while remaining unaware of Sakura's growing interest in him. Takeru arrived at Kazami High School, observing the campus that felt strangely familiar to him. His family expressed concern, urging rest, but he chose attending school to avoid future setbacks. Among classmates, he noticed Takeru's lonely past, the boy seemingly friendless and burdened with despair. Memories resurfaced, battles, adventures, and second chances in another world where strength forged meaningful connections. He recalled Edelweiss, whose kindness and encouragement gave him purpose and determination to move forward. Her dream inspired him to build a world where everyone could laugh genuinely without fear. Encouraged by her words, Takeru resolved to begin anew, starting confidently with school life. Introduced to classmates as Kusanagi, his teacher explained memory loss from injuries, requesting supportive cooperation. Whispers filled the classroom, curious eyes watching Takeru silently take his seat among them. Students' reactions varied, but Takeru analyzed quietly, determined to adapt and integrate into this environment. Takeru arrived at Kazami High School, observing the campus that felt strangely familiar to him. His family expressed concern, urging rest, but he chose attending school to avoid future setbacks. Among classmates, he noticed Takeru's lonely past, The boy seemingly friendless and burdened with despair. Memories resurfaced, battles, adventures, and second chances in another world where strength forged meaningful connections. He recalled Edelweiss, whose kindness and encouragement gave him purpose and determination to move forward. Her dream inspired him to build a world where everyone could laugh genuinely without fear. Encouraged by her words, Takeru resolved to begin anew, starting confidently with school life. Introduced to classmates as Kusanagi, his teacher explained memory loss from injuries, requesting supportive cooperation. Whispers filled the classroom, curious eyes watching Takeru silently take his seat among them. Students' reactions varied, but Takeru analyzed quietly, determined to adapt and integrate into this environment. Takeru stood before Kazami High School, surprised how ordinary the site felt despite everything experienced. Family's words echoed, urging patience, but he insisted returning now, unwilling to risk repeating lost time. Among unfamiliar classmates, he recognized Takeru's previous isolation, remembering whispers of despair and even attempted suicide. His own memories stirred, recalling adventures and battles that shaped him within a distant, perilous world. Edelweiss appeared in his thoughts, her voice encouraging him whenever doubts threatened his fragile determination. Her dream lived strongly within him to create a peaceful world where smiles were natural. Remembering that promise, he steadied himself, convinced school was where his new journey should begin. Inside class, he was introduced as Kusanagi, explained to suffer amnesia from injuries. Needing understanding, students reacted with curiosity and suspicion, while Takeru quietly observed the classroom's atmosphere around him. Determination settled in his gaze, ready to adapt and walk this unfamiliar life with resolve. Takeru reached Kazami High School, surprised by its familiar atmosphere despite the strangeness of his situation. His guardians insisted rest was better, but he refused, determined not to repeat wasted time. Looking at classmates, he realized Takeru's loneliness before, burdened by despair and attempts of suicide. Past experiences resurfaced, facing demons, adventuring with companions, and surviving countless battles that shaped his identity. He remembered Edelweiss, who supported him with kindness, lifting his spirit when he faltered with doubt. Her words echoed clearly, building a world filled with genuine laughter, free of sorrow. Clinging to her dream, Takeru resolved to start again, beginning here with ordinary school life. Teachers introduced him cautiously as Kusanagi, explaining his amnesia, urging classmates to support him patiently. Whispers spread quickly. Students stared with curiosity as Takeru quietly settled at his desk. He studied their reactions intently, preparing himself to adjust and endure within this new environment. Takeru crouched silently, listening to the bullies' taunts, realizing fear was exactly what they wanted. The leader declared Takeru his target, stepping forward arrogantly while others prepared to enjoy the confrontation. Standing tall, Takeru dismissed their threats, calmly promising to deal with them after rescuing Sawamura. Ignored the mockery, Kusanagi stepped forward, his silence sharper than any insult thrown his way. One boy lay beaten on the floor, weakly lifting his head to see the stranger's face. Kusanagi knelt beside the collapsed student, quietly murmuring praise, recognizing strength despite the boy's unconscious state. Laughter echoed behind him, but mockery turned into shock when Kusanagi's foot launched a brutal counterattack. Bodies flew across the floor as confusion replaced arrogance, their taunts crushed by overwhelming strength. A single glance preceded the next strike, flooring another attacker before they could even react. His expression calm, Kusanagi faced the remaining bullies, their rage clashing with fear they couldn't suppress. Attempts at retaliation failed, his movement's precise strength undeniable, catching every blow before it reached him. Insults turned to panic as Kusanagi advanced, indifferent to screams, each step forcing silence through power. Finishing the last with a crushing blow, he reminded them those who bark too loud get silenced. Dismissive voices echoed, but Kusanagi's gaze stayed calm, recalling battles against the Demon Lord's army. Amid burning ruins, his memory replayed a mistake spared an enemy, only to lose an entire village. That moment hardened him. From then on, hesitation vanished. Mercy was no longer part of survival. He silently promised protection for Sawamura, ensuring no one dared raise a hand again without regret. Ease narrowed with cold resolve, Kusanagi's quiet vow rang clear, he would crush their hostile intent. Tension broke as Kusanagi's gestures summoned a strange distortion, leaving the delinquents pale and confused. Cracks widened fast. From the gate emerged a monstrous ogre, snarling with overwhelming bloodthirsty force. Realizing the danger, Kusanagi calmly assessed the creature deadliest type to ever come through a blue gate. Fear spread among the group. Araki arrived, and everyone remembered Kusanagi defeated an ogre before. With renewed bravado, Araki stepped forward, fireball ready, claiming the creature's head for himself in battle. A towering man strikes down a beast, leaving the bullies stunned and scrambling in fear. Panic spreads as the monstrous ogre lunges, smashing one student with overwhelming strength and speed. Terrified classmates abandon their friend, fleeing for their lives while the calm boy watches without flinching. With quiet resolve, he faces the beast alone, summoning a spell without hesitation or fear. Powerful magic engulfs the ogre, erupting violently as symbols swirl and flames consume the enemy's body. The boy approaches the injured bully, who recoils in terror, calling him a monster through trembling lips. Ignoring the insult, he kneels and uses healing magic, easing the boy's pain and confusion. A massive crash interrupts them as the ogre's body slams to the ground, defeated completely. The boy proposes to hide the truth, insisting the bully take credit to avoid attention. He warns firmly, stop the bullying or stay away from him and Sawamura going forward. The boy instructs Araki to stop the others too, warning him about future consequences carefully. With an intense gaze, he presses a finger to Araki's forehead, solidifying the quiet threat. Araki freezes, stunned by the overwhelming aura, then quickly nods in fearful obedience without questioning further. Right after, the boy signals calmly as someone off-screen arrives, pretending nothing serious had happened. He casually reassures the new arrival, leaving Araki with the unconscious ogre and lingering tension. Before leaving, he advises Araki to act convincingly, then walks away as others rush inside. Araki is left trembling amid debris while the scene shifts to a formal academy courtyard elsewhere. Inside the Hunter Association school, a girl explains the situation at Kazami High was already resolved. Another Hunter listens silently, her suspicions rising as she considers the report's inconsistencies and implications. Mana readings disturb her, too powerful for any student. She resolves to investigate this strange anomaly herself. Slumped over her desk, the Hunter laments how difficult people are compared to fighting monsters. Frustration swells. She never asked for praise or popularity, only to fight without being misjudged. Refocusing her thoughts, she analyzes the pattern behind both ogre attacks, sensing a hidden presence involved. She vows to uncover the truth not only for work, but for her loved ones. Arriving at the school gates, she suspects an irregular threat is hiding among the students. Determined and unwavering, Sakura decides this unknown power must be exposed before it is too late. A sudden shockwave ripples through the room, startling Sawamura and cracking his thick glasses. Students burst into laughter as Araki, once emotionless, suddenly becomes cheerful and oddly motivated in class. Sawamura watches in disbelief, confused by Araki's drastic personality shift and the others' unexpected reactions. Curious glances are met with threats. Araki's friends quickly block Sawamura's view, guarding something suspicious. Kusanagi greets Sawamura warmly, but the latter panics, caught off guard and hiding his real injuries. Embarrassed, Sawamura lies about falling. Kusanagi had noticed something strange but doesn't push for the truth. Kusanagi shares how his mother's food overwhelmed him. Sawamura laughs nervously, trying to stay composed. Outside, classmates whisper about Araki's new diligence, unsure whether to worry or simply leave him alone. Meanwhile, a mysterious girl arrives at Kazami High, witnessing magic mishaps and inspecting the school grounds. She investigates hidden records, searching for an irregular power. Suddenly, she notices Valkyrie nearby and grows alert. Hibikawa Jin appeared unexpectedly, his presence unsettling the local guildmaster with an easy smile. He assured her there was no need to worry. His guild had capable personnel ready. Suspicious, she accused him of scouting again, suspecting Orochi Guild's aggressive expansion strategy in the region. Jin dismissed her ideals, claiming strength must unify under powerful leadership, not fragmented by guild politics. She challenged his motives, believing hunters should protect people, not serve hidden agendas or selfish ambitions. He mocked her righteousness, calling her naive and unfit for the brutal world they inhabited. As tension escalated, she realized Jin's presence meant a dangerous individual was hiding nearby. Jin grinned wickedly, unleashing energy. She feared he'd provoke chaos to lure their hidden enemy out. Suddenly, explosions erupted near the school, confirming her worst fears. A gate break had begun. Declaring the threat beneath him, Jin walked away, leaving her to handle the crisis alone. Jin strolled confidently ahead while the girl followed, acknowledging his rank and reputation without hesitation. He sensed overwhelming magic briefly during the gate break, realizing the enemy could mask its presence completely. Monstrous skeletons erupted from the gate, rampaging violently through the area with terrifying strength and numbers. Students screamed and ran as undead horrors stormed classrooms, overwhelming anyone too slow to escape. Charging with lightning speed, the girl intercepted an attack, eyes fixed on protecting the frightened boy. She darted between the panicked crowd, realizing the summoned monsters outnumbered her initial expectations significantly. One girl fell behind, paralyzed in fear, begging not to be abandoned to the skeletons. A surge of power erupted, lightning boost, amplifying her speed to close the distance instantly. Bodies of skeletal beasts flew through the hallway, shattered by electrified strikes in a dazzling rescue. With calm resolve, she faced the trembling students and declared her name Takamine Sakura, S-rank hunter. Sakura instructed the students to evacuate while she stayed behind to handle the attacking monsters alone. Although the creatures were weak, panic overwhelmed untrained students, causing chaos where calm could have ensured survival. She understood their fear, but reminded herself why hunters existed to act when others were powerless. To end the threat swiftly, she activated her sacred technique without hesitation or delay, Sacred Circle. A radiant barrier burst forth, shielding the student and vaporizing the enemies with divine energy. Through smoke and light, she spotted someone unfamiliar, someone powerful. Her eyes widened with realization and urgency. Kneeling calmly amidst the destruction, the mysterious student was unmistakable, the irregular they had been seeking. A forbidden chant awakens. Light radiates as he activates Sacred Circle, calling forth immense magic power. Energy swirls violently. He opens the dimensional gate, pinpointing his target with unwavering resolve. He's finally been found. He arrives unnoticed, but her sharp eyes catch him. The girl recognizes him as an irregular. Before she reacts, he dashes forward at blinding speed. She is startled but immediately gives chase without hesitation. Yelling in frustration, she activates Lightning Boost. Magic surges and she bolts across rooftops to pursue him. Although nervous, he maintains pace. Her pressure closes in, but he avoids turning to face her. He explains physical boost limits. Though capable of more, this current body restricts his real potential. To increase mobility, he adds Aerial Boost. A memory flashes, he refuses to end up muscular like that. Suddenly, a magical explosion disrupts the chase. Shocked, she halts, unsure if it's an attack or trap. Smoke clouds the path. She hesitates atop a roof, thinking hard pursuit must pause, but frustration lingers deeply. Takeru walks alone, reflecting on earlier events. He's far from school, but finally feels safe. At home, he's greeted by his worried mother, who hugs him tightly and starts crying. She mentions someone returned his phone. Confused, he heads to the living room to thank them. To his shock, the girl from earlier calmly sips tea as sunlight streams through the window. Greeting him with a gentle smile, she welcomes Takeru back by name, unsettling his already spinning mind. Realization strikes, she is Takamine Sakura, a fierce rank hunter, yet she came only to return his phone. She requests a conversation. Takeru forces a smile, worried by her mention of incidents he's involved in. Smiling back, she brings up the abandoned factory and the bloody ogre case from weeks ago. Behind the calm smile, Takeru panics. Her knowledge runs deep. This meeting may not be casual at all. His mother misreads the situation, embarrassed. She offers cake as the two awkwardly agree to talk alone. Takeru brings black tea instead. Awkward silence builds while she scans his room intently. They sit uneasily across each other. He stammers a greeting, but she skips pleasantries and questions him directly. Without hesitation, she demands his identity. Takeru hesitates, unsure how to answer without revealing too much. She warns him, depending on his answer, she might use force. He carefully weighs his response. Takeru remains silent, prompting her to suddenly grab him. She insists he is hiding something important. Her intensity rattles him. In the background, a strange pig mascot silently watches the scene unfold. He blurts an excuse, amnesia, desperately. He adds that even his school and parents can confirm. She questions his calmness during crises. His magical control doesn't align with someone who lost their memories. Trying to deflect, he nervously asks if the excuse sounds believable. Her cold stare says everything. Takeru explains he doesn't want fame, power scares him, and he wishes for a peaceful life. Takeru answers calmly. With a quiet gaze, he states he needs none of those things. He continues, saying peace alone is enough. His words surprise her more than any power could. After pausing, she accepts. She'll report that she handled everything herself to avoid further suspicion. Despite doubts, she agrees to believe him for now. Takeru is shocked but relieved by her words. She admits something shifted. Watching him protect others changed her impression more than facts ever could. Outside, they exchange apologies. She confesses chasing him and hacking his weak phone password too easily. Takeru explains why he chose to fight so others could live peacefully, without fear or chaos. She warns that power like his can't stay hidden forever, no matter how quiet he lives. Declaring firmly, she promises to protect his peaceful days even if the world forces him forward. As they part, both hold his contact. She silently notes his amnesia, but chooses to trust. As she walks away, Sakura smiles softly, calling Takeru mysterious, someone truly difficult to figure out. Lost in thought, she nearly crashes. An old man scolds her for texting while walking. She panics. The Wind Guard appeared on the screen, praised as protectors and beloved like local heroes. Their popularity sparked a playful debate Matsuri or Chika, yet admiration for them united the crowd. Running through quiet streets, he reflected on past training that forged his body and mind. At a barricade, police stood alert before a swirling black gate crackling with unstable energy. He learned black gates connect worlds, only closable by defeating the powerful boss monster within. As he hesitated, a mysterious hand gripped his shoulder, urging him to abandon his fear. Wingard arrived boldly, assuring everyone they'd handle the threat and keep the town safe. Cheers erupted for their entrance. They stood proud, brimming with charisma and confidence before the crowd. Gatu, the shield-bearer, promised to protect everyone with strength, heart, and unshakable resolve. With laughter and memories resurfacing, he followed them into the gate toward danger, purpose, and another world. Grotto mocked the young hero, noticing his sluggish movements during their intense one-on-one training match. Despite his efforts, Messiah couldn't land a strike. Grotto effortlessly exposed an opening above his guard. A precise blow struck his throat, leaving him stunned as pain and shock overtook his expression. Grotto knocked him down hard, sword aimed at his chest, declaring total victory with confident certainty. Later, Grotto praised his rapid growth, calling him chosen. Destined to wield divine might, Messiah questioned his failure, and Grotto explained speed alone means nothing without understanding timing and gaps. While training continued, an eerie shadow creature slipped inside, catching both warriors off guard mid-duel. No one recognized the creature, confusion spread. Questions rose about the guards and how it bypassed defenses. Suddenly, Grotto was pierced. The creature moved swiftly, leaving even the experienced general wounded and silent. Bleeding but defiant, Grotto warned Messiah to escape, buying time as fear paralyzed the young hero. Grotto, refusing defeat, shouted his resolve as a general chosen by the king himself. Even while bleeding, he smiled, recalling joy, urging Takru to flee before he loses someone again. Takru hesitated, torn between survival and duty, struggling against fear, guilt, and the urge to run. Roaring with determination, he launched forward, abandoning fear, vowing never to repeat past cowardice again. Grotto warned him mid-battle, his swing too wide, but Takru aimed only to break posture. The demon attacked ferociously. Takru took the opening and struck while blood sprayed across the battlefield. After the battle, silence fell. Takru muttered softly, thinking of his own grandfather back home. Grotto weakly confirmed his actions were correct, then joked about Takru earning a perfect battle score. Back in the real world, his body adjusted slowly, continuing training and stretching with new awareness. His spirit resisted, but his body moved forward until news arrived. Someone named Chika was still inside. Gatu shouted, furious and scared, unable to accept Chika's decision to act as bait. Takru blamed himself, regretting his weakness as monsters closed in and teammates lost hope completely. He stared ahead, separated by time, feeling like he was reliving a nightmare he couldn't change. With tension rising, his thoughts spiraled. If help doesn't arrive now, everything may collapse again. Alone beneath moonlight, Takru stood silently near the gate, drawn by the forest's eerie stillness. A scream echoed from within, Chika's voice snapping him back. His body moved before thinking. Memories flooded in. Companions teased him, but their words gave courage when it mattered most. The whisper of Chika's name escaped him as he faced the swirling gate ahead, resolving himself. He sprinted forward. Regret could wait. Chika needed saving, and he wouldn't fail again. Watching from afar, demons sensed movement. Someone had entered once more. Another prey stepped into their world. From atop rubble, a demon girl grinned eagerly, hoping her new opponent wouldn't crumble so quickly. Hiding beneath a hood, he sprinted through the forest, uncertain why everything felt strangely familiar. Despite doubts, every monster and ruined landscape proved his suspicion this was definitely the same world again. He paused, examining the carnage left behind. One soldier still stood, battle-ready and unafraid. A girl burst onto the scene, out of breath, her eyes full of desperation. Behind her, a massive ogre charged, its weapon raised, eager to crush her instantly. A blast shook the trees, she cried out, unsure if Yuichi escaped the deadly explosion. Fallen bodies surrounded her. She screamed Mamoru's name as his broken form was flung aside. Desperately trying to flee, she glanced back, only to see the ogre right behind her. A wall of ice exploded into existence, freezing the monster mid-strike before it could kill her. As dust settled, she looked up in disbelief. Her savior stood protectively, hands still raised. She blinked in shock as he confirmed her safety, relieved she'd only suffered minor bruises. Thankful but curious, she questioned him. He claimed to be just a passing stranger with timing. Recognition sparked. She remembered his voice and outfit. They had seen him outside the gate before. Her instincts as a scout sharpened. She recalled every detail and realized the truth instantly. Trying to brush it off, he complimented her memory. Clearly flustered by her attention, he turned away, avoiding further questions. She apologized, sensing his distance but still grateful for everything. Joy returned briefly. Everyone was safe. But far away, a strange ritual had already begun. An unknown girl activated a spell. A new threat loomed with monstrous power gathering beneath. Suspicion grew stronger. She walked beside him, puzzled by his incredible power from a basic spell. Without warning, he grabbed her tool and dashed forward, aiming straight for the enemy's summoning magic. With determined eyes, he struck the spell circle dead center, unleashing tremendous energy with precise timing. Together they pushed forward, shattering the spell's core. The barrier trembled beneath the magical backlash. A piercing beam shot out, scattering debris. The summoning was interrupted before completion could finish. Watching from afar, allies gasped in disbelief. Their expressions froze, eyes wide at the massive blast cratered. Ground remained where they stood. She screamed, overwhelmed, while others questioned what they just witnessed. He carried her effortlessly from danger, leaving her stunned, heart pounding from confusion and awe. The elf girl smirked. Her pet had been erased, leaving her mildly annoyed but intrigued. Cracks formed in the sky. She laughed maniacally, amused and entertained by the unexpected turn. He apologized for breaking her knife, but she dismissed it, overwhelmed by everything that had happened. As they escaped, a new girl appeared and opened a gate, requesting their help with urgency. Before leaving, he asked her to keep quiet about him. She agreed, smiling with understanding. Meanwhile, Sukuna finished preparing another summoning ritual until something unexpected disrupted her spell at the last second. A massive portal collapsed from above. He emerged once more, stepping forward with unreadable, focused resolve. Sukuna pouted. Her opponent escaped again. She shouted, demanding more playtime like an annoyed child denied candy. The collapsing gate shook the ground violently. Black energy spiraled as everything started pulling inward uncontrollably. Unable to resist the outcome, she grumbled in defeat, cheeks puffed with disappointment and reluctant acceptance. Before disappearing, she waved goodbye. He rejoined his allies, smiles spreading through their tear-streaked, dirt-covered faces. Among the crowd, a small girl called out, unaware her beloved big brother had returned again. Sweat dripped as the three boys introduced themselves. Tension lingered between them without explanation. A girl explained the incoming students were victims of a gate break, now welcomed by Aaron. Warm applause echoed through the class. The three stood silently, unsure how to react or respond. Confused and overwhelmed, the boys questioned the strange atmosphere surrounding this overly cheerful reception ceremony. Samura explained how classes resumed after the break, aligning materials like internships to train hunters better. Our academy had been expanded as a shelter. The students marveled at its majestic scale. Kusanagi listened quietly while Sawamura expressed unease about Araki. Yet he decided to focus on enjoying school. They marveled at Takamine's Sakura, Aaron's top hunter. Her reputation clearly overwhelmed Sawamura's expectations completely. Kusanagi listened as Sawamura praised the academy's elite students, training and highly ranked hunter graduates everywhere. Memories surfaced. Kusanagi had seen Takamine before. Sawamura eagerly questioned him about their mysterious past encounter. Kusanagi explained Takamine returned his phone. Sawamura teased, thinking they may have exchanged contact details secretly. Rumors about Takamine's obsessive fan club spread. Kusanagi grew anxious, fearing misunderstandings might escalate unnecessarily. Their casual walk stopped. She appeared ahead. Panic set in as others watched her entrance closely. Takamine's presence turned heads. Students stared silently, overwhelmed by her aura and unapproachable appearance. Even among classmates, she felt distant. Kusanagi wondered why someone like her had no friends. Her smile reached him. Sawamura's voice faded as Kusanagi's mind became completely fixed on her. Kusanagi brushed off the questions. He ran ahead, ignoring Sawamura's yelling as curiosity stirred silently inside him. Day shifted to night. Behind closed doors, something stirred within the quiet, looming halls of Iran. At the hospital, a girl recalled her savior. She never saw their face during chaos. Now seated before Takamine, Kusanagi realized the truth. She had been the one who saved her. Takamine warned him seriously. Her influence couldn't protect him forever from the Hunter Association's growing suspicion. A D-rank gate produced an A-rank Cyclops. Something was clearly wrong with the mana reading. An unknown individual had interfered, unregistered and unverified. Their presence raised questions no one could ignore. Takamine pressed further. If his report about the powerful magic was true, danger still remained nearby. She admitted her earlier tone was harsh. His actions, though reckless, had saved many lives. Even with special power, he was still a citizen. She felt responsible for his safety. Takamine smiled, urging him to leave danger to professionals. Hunters existed to protect lives like his walking outside. Kusanagi reflected. He admired Takamine's strength and kindness, but couldn't forget her words. A squad suddenly formed around him. Without warning, they launched an attack against charging beasts with perfect coordination. As the threat closed in, Kusanagi remained calm. A silent force emerged, cutting through enemies effortlessly. A mysterious student defeated the monster instantly. Kusanagi, emerging from darkness, silently watched the aftermath unfold. With a cheerful smile, the boy asked if Kusanagi was unharmed, concerned. Despite the chaos, the newcomer admired Kusanagi's clean uniform. His sparkling demeanor and confident stance drew everyone's attention immediately. Suddenly, dramatic introductions began. Kusanagi stood stunned as the group performed exaggerated poses and shouted his name. They announced Biyutawan Suma, a rank hunter, genius spearman, and wildly passionate about comradeship and his new friend. To Kusanagi's disbelief, this boy was also president of Takamine Sakura's official school fan club. With a wink and a grin, Biyutawan offered friendship. Kusanagi stood frozen, unsure how to respond. Students froze mid-motion, surrounding the newcomer who silently observed the strange scene with quiet confusion. An extravagant introduction followed, centered around Takamine Sakuraka, leader of the city's most powerful protection guild. He learned the guild's sole requirement, admiration for Takamine, regardless of magical ability or combat strength. A flamboyant member declared him qualified, having seen Kusanagi's glance at Takamine earlier that day. Sudden monster-related chaos emerged. Kusanagi's unusual calmness drew suspicion from the guild members monitoring the gate. Takamine arrived moments later, surprised to find the situation already resolved by unknown hands before her. Together, they searched outside, finding no trace of the attackers or those who handled them. Walking through school halls, Kusanagi wondered how deeply Takamine's guild operated within everyday student life. Just as he decided to keep distance, a loud voice shattered his brief moment of peace. Bursting into the classroom, Biyutawan claimed the seat beside Kusanagi, grinning, as though nothing had changed. Biyutawan's sudden closeness overwhelmed Kusanagi, who felt trapped by his classmates' unrelenting cheerful energy. Time passed at the academy, but the feeling of unease surrounding Biyutawan never fully faded. Inside the cafeteria, Kusanagi ate in silence, acutely aware of whispers and glances from surrounding students. Questions about Biyutawan surfaced. Kusanagi realized something about him felt different and potentially dangerous. Sawamura explained Biyutawan's background, heir to a famous family praised for exceptional spearmanship since childhood. Recognized as one of only 5 A-rank hunters, his strength earned widespread admiration and fear. At Aran Academy's massive training arena, students gathered for a new lesson in practical hunter combat. A strict instructor shouted commands. Kusanagi noticed students' serious energy, clearly not just another casual physical education class. This wasn't a simulation. The training included monster combat using advanced magic-generated enemies called doppelganger slimes. Zone slime shifted form, revealing a massive orc-like beast, perfectly mimicking real-world threats faced by hunters. Despite being pseudo-monsters, their abnormal behavior raised suspicion. Kusanagi learned Magi developed such magical training tools. Veteran instructors coordinated tactics. Fighters practiced critical teamwork, attacking precisely, while Kusanagi quietly observed their efficiency. When doubted by a student, Kusanagi responded with a calm smile that silenced the room. Suddenly, Biyutawan appeared in combat, effortlessly slicing through enemies with blinding speed and flawless form. His spear tore through monsters. Everyone admired the power of Biyutawan Suma's refined elite technique. Spectators were impressed. Kusanagi thought his style was excessive, but undeniably effective against doppelganger beasts. New students were summoned. Their task: fight DS goblins with borrowed weapons from the academy arsenal. Guided to the armory, Kusanagi received advice. A sword was recommended even for Magi. Choosing magic reluctantly, he confessed his reliance due to weak physical strength and poor close combat. The goblins charged. Kusanagi gripped his sword, stepped forward, and prepared to finish them without hesitation. Everyone paused. Kusanagi's quiet command echoed across the field, drawing shocked stares from teachers and students. One goblin staggered oddly, though Kusanagi swore he struck. The slime remained standing without reacting properly. A sudden distortion occurred. Confused murmurs rose as something unexpected caused a goblin to behave unnaturally. Even instructors were unsure. No one noticed Kusunagi's swing, nor understood what actually happened during impact. Trying to laugh it off, Kusunagi teased his classmates, masking the eerie silence with exaggerated smiles. Banter continued awkwardly. Most accepted the explanation, though uncertainty lingered about what really took place earlier. Away from the crowd, Kusunagi's expression hardened. A hidden side surfaced, watching everything without emotion. Takeru searched the academy's library, hoping to find answers, but the books offered nothing useful. While flipping through material, he remembered an old article about a person possibly linked to his situation. The magazine featured Yusugi Kikyu, a famed hunter who fought by channeling powerful heroic spirits. Her technique resembled his possession of Takeru's body, yet her soul remained untouched. Unlike his fragmented state, realizing the similarity, he wondered if her soul stayed intact. Perhaps Takeru's still existed somewhere too. Suddenly interrupted by a loud shout, he turned to find a lively boy greeting him. The boy apologized for startling him and expressed a sudden, unexplained curiosity about Takeru's identity. With sharp perception, the boy claimed Takeru was hiding power, having assessed people's talents since childhood. He confidently admitted being drawn not to Takeru's personality, but rather his remarkable strength and presence. Feigning innocence, Takeru insisted he was just a normal student, though clearly intrigued by the attention. The boy explained Kikyu rarely appeared publicly, residing atop the sacred mountain under strict conditions. Although disappointed, Kusanagi learned she briefly visited a martial arts gathering but had already returned home. A spark of hope lit his face. Using family ties, he might arrange a meeting. Surprised by his intensity, the boy laughed. Kusanagi's calm facade cracked, revealing deeper interest and urgency. With enthusiasm, the boy proposed a duel, prove your strength, and he'd arranged the introduction. They relocated to academy grounds, where sealed black gates served as magical training sites for capable students. Kusanagi followed him into the ruins. A bull roared nearby, but the boy seemed unfazed. Before clashing, Kusanagi made him swear 2 promises: introduction to Kikyu and secrecy about his power. Without hesitation, swords were drawn. The duel commenced with explosive energy, blades striking in calculated bursts. Blows exchanged rapidly, both fighters demonstrating refined technique. Kusanagi's speed, balance, and restraint caught his opponent's eye. Kusanagi observed Biwadoin's spear, graceful yet deadly. Every movement minimized bloodshed, maximizing tactical precision. It became clear his earlier clumsiness was deception. Biwadoin's spear techniques were deliberate, clean, and brutal. Biwadoin declared proudly that his family's Biwadoin spearmanship emphasized discipline, silence, and absolute control in battle. Grinning manically, Biwadoin reveled in the duel's thrill, though his technique contrasted his wild energy. Kusanagi calmly deflected attacks, unimpressed. He hadn't accepted the duel for enjoyment, but for answers. With sharp eyes, he warned Biwadoin if they were fighting, then dodge seriously without hesitation. One fierce blow shattered the distance. Biwadoin staggered, overwhelmed by pressure, and Kusanagi's explosive counterattack struck and cornered. Biwadoin fell back. Kusanagi stepped forward, blade pointed at victory's edge, unshaken. A quiet declaration followed. "I win." The stunned Biwadoin could only blink at the overwhelming difference. Even the raging beast behind them paused. Biwadoin praised Kusanagi's power, finally acknowledging his opponent's superiority. Without warning, the training ground trembled. A gate cracked open, and something monstrous began emerging violently. Biwadoin gasped in disbelief. The great bull transformed grotesquely into a raging humanoid minotaur dripping with magic. Stone shattered as the creature charged. Biwadoin yelled, stunned it could morph into another species entirely. Though unfamiliar, Kusanagi recognized its presence. He'd once fought something similar in a distant, war-torn world. Blade ready. Kusanagi approached, but Biwadoin intervened, insisting Kusanagi retreat while he held the beast off. Kusanagi refused. He declared that if the goal was justice, then he would stand too. Biwadoin revealed his identity as president of Aran Society, sworn to protect civilians from monsters. His duty, he shouted, was to embody ideals and protect Kusanagi, the supposedly powerless, ordinary student. In the midst of chaos, he apologized for forcing Kusanagi to act against his wishes. Biwadoin family's dojo echoed with strikes as wooden swords clashed during intense martial training sessions. Suma, a junior high student, easily defeated his opponent, impressing everyone with overwhelming strength and confidence. Spectators praised his natural talent, calling him a prodigy unmatched even by adults in the dojo. Despite the praise, Suma dismissed lectures about character, tired of constant reminders about true strength and heart. He left early, brushing off his father's scolding, satisfied with being praised for his victories. Boasting about his looks, wealth, and skills, Suma believed life was perfect and effortlessly easy. While walking home, he mocked monster threats, convinced nothing could surpass his own rising potential. Rumors of a dangerous gate nearby piqued his interest as authorities warned of mounting danger. Ignoring the warnings, he boldly dashed forward, eager to gain first-hand battle experience through reckless action. Bystanders panicked, yelling at the police while Suma vanished inside, smiling, ready to prove his worth. Crowds scattered as a girl warned them, sensing the immense danger radiating from the unstable gate. Suma staggered deeper inside, bleeding slightly, convincing himself he was still superior despite mounting signs of weakness. Gory remains of fallen fighters surrounded him. Panic rose as fear shattered his earlier overconfidence completely. A monster's chain strike knocked him down hard, nausea and pain overwhelmed his proud, unprepared body. Desperate and cornered, he activated lightning boosts, unleashing everything he had left in one final gamble. A blinding explosion erupted outward, shaking the battlefield, tearing through enemies in a moment of fury. As dust cleared, Suma realized he was still alive. Someone had shielded him from a fatal blow. He looked up stunned as a girl held him firmly, crackling lightning dancing around her staff. She calmly apologized for arriving late, declared her intent, and immediately charged into the monstrous swarm. Suma sat frozen in place, powerless to move, watching her annihilate enemies faster than he blinked. Suma gasped as he noticed blood. She had shielded him and taken a direct hit. Despite her injury, she smiled gently, asking if he was okay before continuing confidently forward. With a cheerful grin, she stepped ahead, embodying the very ideals his father always emphasized. Tears streamed down Suma's face as realization struck he had been completely powerless, utterly unprepared. She reached out without hesitation, her words bringing comfort as the chaos around them faded. As they held hands, Suma saw her smiling warmly, and something inside him quietly shifted. A new resolve ignited within. He no longer wanted to remain weak or reliant. Gripping his weapon tighter, he swore to grow stronger, not for praise, but for himself. He wanted to fight beside her without shame, to stand as an equal someday soon. Suddenly, a beast lunged at them. Suma stood ready, but she faced the monster without flinching. Suma faced the mutated minotaur, realizing its overwhelming strength surpassed expectations for an A-rank monster. He roared with determination, vowing his spear would never break no matter the opponent's brutality. A calm voice corrected him. Strength alone wasn't enough. Monsters didn't require mercy or restraint in battle. Kusanagi awakened Suma's latent magic, warning the effects would hurt later, but grant power immediately. With explosive force, Suma hurled his spear, unleashing a devastating wave that tore the battlefield apart. The Minotaur was obliterated in seconds. Suma collapsed from exhaustion while Kusanagi stood watching silently. Movement from the remains drew Kusanagi's attention. Something unnatural still writhed beneath the monster's mangled corpse. He examined the strange fragment. Realizing this dark residue wasn't ordinary, it hinted at something orchestrated. Far away, unknown enemies monitored the battle's outcome. Intrigued by the destruction of their enhanced beasts, they discussed Suma's growing strength, promising next time he wouldn't escape, and vowing to exploit his weakness. The mysterious man smirked, preparing his move, declaring vengeance and setting sights on the irregular. A photo revealed the next target, Kusanagi Takeru, unaware his name now echoed among dangerous enemies watching closely. Angry crowds jeered at the imprisoned young man, shouting for the monster's death without mercy. Takeru silently sat in his cell, confused by hatred, whispering only one word. Why? Memories of past praise resurfaced. Soldiers, villagers, even the king once called him their hero. Now abandoned and beaten, he cried out in anguish, unable to understand the world's betrayal. A child's cruel accusation shattered him. His eyes widened, heart-sinking as hatred replaced past admiration. Moments later, the boy offered food in silence, leaving the prisoner stunned by unexpected kindness. Jolted awake, he gasped for breath, heart racing, haunted by memories too vivid to forget. Breathing heavily, he realized it was only a dream, but the fear still lingered. Back home, he quietly ate breakfast, pretending everything was normal while reflecting on summer's approach. Determined, he sought answers about Takeru's soul, preparing for the day it might return. He forced a smile, claiming it was a dream, as concern filled their worried faces. Doctors suggested memory loss, urging tests. Family insisted they couldn't bear seeing him hurt again. Grateful yet burdened, he smiled warmly, silently wishing to return the body before it's too late. Outside, confusion broke out as voices clashed, urgency rising about his condition and strange behavior. At the hospital, loved ones spoke with doctors, seeking answers about Takeru's fading condition. Messages flooded his phone, classmates wishing him well, unaware of the truth behind his absence. Suddenly, familiar faces from Wingard appeared, recognizing him immediately from their past shared battle. He exchanged words with them carefully, noting Chica's silence about him left an unexpected sting. While the others chatted happily, Chica's eyes glistened. She seemed unable to contain her excitement. One member quietly approached, revealing they all once dreamed of protecting Kazami City, inspired by him. His friend smiled earnestly, promising to stand by him whenever danger or hardship might arise again. After parting ways, he reassured others of his health, preparing to quietly return home alone. As he walked, an uneasy feeling lingered. People's kindness was meant for Takru, not him. Despite gratitude from strangers, pretending to be Takru weighed heavily on his conscience and heart. He looked forward to summer, hoping it would bring answers and resolve to this confusion. Suddenly, a monstrous figure slammed into the alley wall. He froze, caught between fear and disbelief. A flamboyant man confirmed his identity, standing atop the creature's corpse without hesitation or remorse. Takru turned away in silence, but the man cheerfully called after him, demanding recognition and reaction. Two hunters introduced themselves, Yashio and Shima from the notorious rank guild Ouroboros, known for shady dealings. They insisted he shouldn't worry, claiming interest only in a past incident, while pressure steadily increased. They relocated to a quiet restaurant where negotiations began behind closed doors in an empty hall. He examined the papers carefully, questioning their intentions only to hear vague promises and evasive explanations. An executive position, enormous salary, yet their smiles held no sincerity, only polished greed behind every word. Takru set the documents down firmly and stood, refusing their offer without hesitation or apology. Their expressions darkened. A hand slowly reached toward a weapon hidden beneath the polished table surface. Without warning, the two leapt to attack, blades flashing, intent to punish his rejection swiftly. In seconds, the room was destroyed, furniture shattered. Takru stood still amid the raining debris. The hunters grinned coldly, stating they'd use force next, determined to make him cooperate regardless. At the academy, Sakura worked diligently, admired by others unaware of the battle unfolding elsewhere. Back in the restaurant, Takru stood firm while his enemies declared they'd force his cooperation violently. With calm defiance, he noted their aggression, unfazed by threats or the weapons they brandished confidently. One attacker lunged forward using a poisoned whip, but Takru quickly dodged, recognizing the tactic instantly. A fierce exchange erupted. Takru launched forward, evading flames while preparing to counter the brute's reckless strike. His attack landed cleanly, smashing the man's face and sending him hurtling through the shattered restaurant. The second enemy shouted, promising restraint, but still unleashed a flurry of deadly slashes without hesitation. Using snake sword style, the enemy unleashed devastating techniques, shattering the ground and targeting Takru's movements precisely. He grinned at Takru's evasive speed, impressed by the young man's reflexes during their deadly clash. While circling, Takru anticipated the whip's arc, realizing he needed to stop its motion immediately. Yashio leapt from his ally's shoulder, launching a kick directly into the enemy's startled face. Without pause, he lunged forward, delivering a deadly slash labeled Poison Fang straight across the opponent's chest. His enemy countered fast, forcing Yashio to activate Protect Guard while retreating from the spinning, brutal attack. Charging in again, Yashio's foot pierced through the magical shield, cracking it with raw power and precision. Bones shattered under his relentless assault, but the enemy's recovery spell kept regenerating the damage immediately. Even after landing hits, the foe's pumped-up form unleashed a massive Big Bang punch. A thunderous explosion rocked the battlefield, demolishing walls and furniture, shocking onlookers witnessing the raw impact. Another fighter approached swiftly, casting boost magic on her arm, aiming a blow with enhanced brutal strength. Yashio tried breaking through again, but the enemy's hard skin spell nullified his strike effortlessly. As the scene escalated, a wild scream erupted. Someone soared in recklessly with unstoppable fury. The fight ended swiftly. His opponent collapsed in defeat, bloodied and broken beneath Yashio's calm gaze. Surveying the fallen enemies, Yashio noted their reckless public use of forbidden anti-monster combat skills. One enemy crawled away grinning, ready to execute their contingency, take a hostage, and force Yashio's hand. Yashio froze as he saw a familiar face on the screen. His friend was captured. Threats followed fast. The enemy warned Yashio that harm might come to Araki if resisted. Ignoring the threat, Yashio slammed the man down, declaring coldly that he simply didn't care. He turned casually annoyed. If Araki was in danger, he'd go eliminate the problem directly. Suddenly, a phone buzzed. Orders were clear. The enemies acted under Hebikawa's leadership directive. Yashio answered. The man on the other end had watched everything unfold through surveillance. The mysterious man proposed an alliance, wanting Yashio as a personal secret weapon moving forward. A photo revealed Araki hospitalized and unconscious, poisoned by something modern medicine couldn't reverse. With a twisted grin, the man confessed proudly he'd used incurable poison from another world. To save them, Yashio was told to come alone and retrieve the antidote directly. Without hesitation, he stood silently, discarding his unconscious enemies, preparing himself for what lay ahead. He whispered his intention coldly to the fainted man, hiding nothing. He'd absolutely go alone, because dragging others along meant delays, distractions, and weakness. Alone, he could move without mercy or hesitation. A hospital room sleeps in silence. Outside, someone hesitates to enter, burdened by guilt. Standing beside the bed, he mutters an apology. Regret weighs heavily on his trembling voice. Later, he walks aimlessly through the neon streets, surrounded by noise, temptation, and shady offers. A stranger notices something strange about him. Whispers of demon begin to spread in fear. Ignoring warnings, he's drawn to a mysterious woman who greets him like an expected guest. She introduces herself as Echidna, claiming someone named Hebakawa requested his arrival and her guidance. Inside the bar, she explains everything. Their secret organization uses restaurants as disguised operational bases. Suddenly, a swirling portal opens. Echidna calmly instructs him to enter. Hebakawa awaits beyond its veil. He emerges into a hostile world. An army stands before him. Hebakawa grins with anticipation. Hebakawa boasts about controlling monsters. Takeru stays silent, eyes fixed on the threat rising before him. A monstrous creature erupts from the ground, violently tearing apart everything nearby in a spray of blood. Takeru remains calm. He recognizes the chaos and identifies the demon's creation as Hebakawa's doing. Hebakawa admits it proudly, calling the creature Geitu a weakling, merely a test subject for entertainment. When asked his purpose, Hebakawa responds coldly. With a twisted smile, he wants to destroy everything. He rants about breaking rules, overthrowing guilds, and becoming ruler through total chaos and control. Raising his staff, he declares monsters will be the force behind his rise to power. Takeru refuses to accept that outcome. Even against numbers, rank hunters could stop such madness. Hebakawa agrees with a smirk. However, he reveals hidden cards suggesting much worse lies ahead. Takeru demands the antidote. Hebakawa offers it, claiming peace, while referencing kidnapped parents and untapped potential. With clenched fists, Hebakawa presses on. Society fears the strong. Power like Takeru's is always hated. Hebakawa stretches out his hand, offering alliance. He promises power, domination, and a new world. Takeru rejects the offer instantly. He smashes the antidote, exposing the poison's true identity. Already having cured his parents, he reveals knowledge that shouldn't exist yet, leaving Hebakawa shocked. He didn't come to negotiate. His only goal is stopping Hebakawa and protecting precious peace. Clenching his fist, Takeru declares vengeance. No one harms those he loves and walks away. Hebakawa sighs in disappointment. With emotion, monstrous beasts charge forth, obeying his final command. A single spell flare burst erupts from Takeru, vaporizing the first wave with overwhelming pinpointed magic. Hebakawa responds unfazed. He continues summoning hordes, determined to overwhelm Takeru through sheer magical force. Takeru realizes the truth. His opponent is an S-rank summoner controlling beasts through ruthless compulsion. No time remains. He invokes explosion, releasing cataclysmic force that swallows everything in a massive swirl. Takeru lands amid the scorched field. Hebakawa emerges unscathed, amused by the explosive magic display. Calling out to Echidna, Hebakawa hints it's time to unleash his true, hidden trump card. From dark summoning circles, he calls Hydra forth, a terrifying monster meant to overpower even Takeru. Facing the massive multi-headed beast, Takeru hesitates. Its presence reminds him of creatures from another world. He strikes swiftly, yet the monster endures. Each head feels pain but shows no signs of weakness. Even severed heads regrow. Regeneration renders Takeru's attacks ineffective, forcing him to reassess Hydra's true threat. Hebakawa mocks the effort, declaring Hydra immortal. No living being can defeat such a creation. Unfazed, Takeru steps forward, determined. He's faced worse, and this time, he won't hold anything back. The former Messiah unleashes overwhelming magic, declaring no creature is truly immortal despite regeneration abilities. He calmly prepares an enormous spell circle, determined to obliterate the monster in a single strike. A powerful beam pierces forward, cutting clean through the Hydra-like monster's body in rapid succession. Despite taking damage, the creature disrupts his mana flow, attempting to stop further magic from forming. He calculates its regeneration speed, planning quick spells during the vulnerable 3-second recovery window between injuries. Realization dawns as he stares into its core. its ferocity hides a fatal structural flaw. With precision, he charges through, narrowly dodging fangs while targeting a specific area beneath its tail. A direct hit lands as he flips midair, smashing the beast downward with unrelenting force. The Messiah detonates focused energy, striking the tail's weak point, initiating a chain of destruction. Smoke settles as enemies retreat. He turns silently, now facing a greater threat approaching from afar. Takeru faced his smirking enemy calm and resolute, declaring it was finally his turn. Without hesitation, serpent heads emerged from portals, surrounding him with fangs ready to strike from every angle. He stood firm amidst swirling black vortexes, tracking the enemy's movements while preparing a deadly counterattack. Dodging rapidly, Takeru charged forward as a massive head lunged, jaws wide and deadly sharp. Eye contact with the basilisk paralyzed his body, allowing the grinning man to claim premature victory. Just before collapsing, he leapt through the dust, catching his opponent off guard with a surprise punch. Shock erupted as the impact shattered magic barriers, overwhelming his enemy's confident expression with fear and pain. Takeru's fierce assault launched the man back, tearing through defenses with sheer force and burning speed. But a new opponent crashed into him from above, slamming him hard before he could recover. He retaliated with rapid-fire magic, matching the woman's speed while analyzing her unpredictable combat movements mid-air. Takeru slams her down, chants, flare bursts, and blasts magic directly into her chest. From the blast's aftermath, he confirms her identity. She is a demon disguised in humanoid form. Realization spreads as she stares up, paralyzed by the intense bloodlust radiating from his descending presence. His eyes lock onto hers, voice flat, "Kill demons, always." She's overcome by crushing instinctual fear. To her, it feels like she's confronting the demon lord himself, not just a human overwhelmed and confused. She stares at the ground, questioning everything, unsure what action to take next. Another demon, Jin, embraces her calmly, breaking the tension with an unexpected, casual, "Hey, Echidna." Jin admits defeat, tells her the battle is lost, his power spent, his plans shattered. Though stunned, Echidna admits she considered betrayal, choosing survival once the hunters had all fallen. Takeru listens silently as Echidna requests a favor. "Bowie me time." Jin promises. "I'll do it." Jin restrains Takeru with a grin, warning about consequences if the dimensional wall disappears entirely. Suddenly, dark energy swirls. Echidna performs a ritual, declaring the creation of a child stronger than gods. From her summoning emerges Typhos, a monstrous, coiled beast radiating divine, level malice, and raw destruction incarnate. Multiple gates erupt across Earth's sky, unleashing demons that pour through to terrorize the human world. Armies of twisted creatures rampage through the city streets, while Jin laughs at Echidna's insane escalation. Watching chaos unfold, Takeru mutters grimly, "She didn't hold back." Echidna truly unleashed something beyond control. A massive hydra charges forward, its monstrous heads thrashing while chaos erupts across the battlefield. Explosive force tears through the ground, displacing rubble as the creature unleashes destruction without restraint. From the cliff, a silver-haired man watches, smirking as flames engulf the rampaging beast completely. 10 years earlier, a group of young explorers excitedly prepared for their very first expedition. Deep underground panic erupted as something unimaginable emerged, sending the inexperienced party fleeing in terror. Roan Boy stumbled and was thrown to the ground while others raced ahead without hesitation. Left behind, he looked up in confusion as a stranger calmly approached through the smoldering dust. Despite the shock, the stranger smiled coldly, recognizing his potential due to surviving entry at 13. Fear overtook him as another betrayed voice insisted he could handle everything alone from here. Collapsed and injured, he could only groan as a demonic woman suddenly appeared beside him. Smiling, Echidna whispered her price, brushing his chin, demanding something in return for saving his life. After recovery, he shouted in court, accusing comrades of betrayal, but authorities dismissed his desperate claims. No justice was granted. Their rules favored the strong. He accepted reality, bitter and alone, swearing vengeance. He offered his soul for power, Echidna's curse wrapped tightly around his heart. Now driven by hatred, he vowed to destroy the association, consuming the demonic power offered. Holding a bloodied victim, Shima reminded him, torment lasts longer when enemies are kept alive. Their revolution began with allies united. Echidna's group promised ruin. They marched forward with twisted determination, though wounded and lying down. One man still smiled. His revenge would live on through Echidna. A massive explosion followed. Observers were stunned somehow. The survivor emerged alive from total annihilation despite overwhelming power. He walked calmly toward the beast, Nothing had changed, it still couldn't harm him. A heavy tail slammed the earth as the creature declared unity with its monstrous companion child together. The fused beast and its controller claimed they had become the universe's single strongest entity. Charging full force, Takru unleashed magic. His body neared collapse, but he refused to give in. Despite the attack, the creature laughed. No fear. It believed nothing could defeat its ultimate form. Enjoying destruction, it mocked the effort, claiming pleasure in battle, the best feeling imaginable. Takru locked onto its core. With narrowed eyes, he sprinted directly toward the vulnerable target. Climbing the coiling body, he readied his strike. The beast turned, mocking his disrespectful defiance. Launching upward, Takru aimed his blade with precision. The monster shrieked, commanding him to die instantly. Midair, he twisted. Flames coiled around his weapon. He activated his finishing move, Aerial Burst. The blast exploded on impact. Writhing heads screeched. Takru struck hard, determined to end it completely. The explosion ripped through Typhos's body, leaving its master stunned by the sudden shift in momentum. Takru calmly stepped forward. Recognizing her fusion weakened her, controlling Typhos made her easier to defeat. Her rage erupted. Screaming wildly, she lost grip on herself. Typhos' power began consuming her mind. Madness overwhelmed her thoughts. She swore to destroy everything: family, friends, even herself if necessary. Without hesitation, he answered coldly. He'd destroy her completely, every limb, every thought, without mercy. His gaze was emotionless. No fear, no hate. Just the resolve to end her. Echidna trembled, confused by her failure. She had power, so why was she still afraid? She remembered past humiliation. Even now, despite everything, her heart remained trapped in their scornful laughter. Kneeling before the throne, she received mockery. Even her own kind saw her as weak. The queen sneered. Worthless underlings had no use. Echidna wasn't even entertaining anymore, just another failed pawn. Echidna trembled, then steadied herself. This weakness existed only in her mind, not in reality. She swore vengeance, determined to break everyone who mocked her, starting with the boy before her. To begin her revenge, she'd kill the prophesied one, the key figure feared by all. Takru shared quiet moments by the fire, reflecting on their crowded yet peaceful journey together. She reassured him about refusing others, certain they couldn't keep up with his dangerous pace. Thou asked about trust. She recalled his unpredictable actions that often left others overwhelmed and confused. He admitted preferring solitude, while comrades nearby admired his overwhelming strength and divine presence as Messiah. Even so, her constant support reminded him he was never truly alone in this world. Now focused, he located the demon's true body, determined to eliminate her without hesitation or delay. Charging forward, Takru released relentless power, striking the monstrous enemy controlling the battlefield from deep within. The demon mocked his sluggish movements, forcing him to dodge while questioning his earlier confidence in victory. Weakened and breathless, he realized his body had reached its absolute limit in this deadly battle. Facing the demon's taunts, he learned Typhos drained humanity's life, fueling endless destruction across worlds without stopping. The demon laughed cruelly, conjuring a portal to display the horrors festering beyond the battlefield. Inside, the swirling vision, monstrous figures loomed, revealing the source of Typhos's unstoppable and growing influence. She warned, Takru killing her would unleash chaos, severing control over Typhos's spiraling, monstrous power. Without hesitation, Takru began forming a powerful spell, ignoring her pleas and threats of disaster. Her voice trembled, demanding he reconsider, but his unwavering eyes answered without speaking a single word. Meanwhile, destruction ravaged Tokyo as monsters emerged, pushing humanity to the brink of annihilation again. A knight activated his barrier skill, shouting his vow to defend the people with his life. Ordinary fighters joined battle without hesitation, courageously charging against overwhelming forces to protect what remained of home. Others shielded civilians with rotating skills and healing magic, ensuring survival amidst growing violence and devastation. United under our society's ideals, they fought fiercely to uphold peace and protect citizens from ruin. The president fought fiercely, his strength inspiring teammates who believed S-rank status was finally within reach. Suddenly, a massive monster appeared, surprising everyone and threatening to crush the entire team immediately. He smiled despite danger, admitting S-rank remained distant as overwhelming power engulfed the monstrous threat. Sakura observed from above, silent and focused, preparing to launch coordinated attacks across the entire city. With tactical precision, she received coordinates and activated Judgment Ray, eliminating threats with calculated divine fury. Lightning surged down, striking Shibuya Station, vaporizing monstrous enemies hiding within the densely packed urban zone. Observers watched in awe, confirming the Tokyo outbreak was cleared and expanding operations toward Kanto region. Sakura, eyes unwavering, vowed to defeat anything ahead, her strength rivaling even Takuru's divine might. Demons panicked, unable to comprehend the magnitude of her power, erasing their forces without resistance. Alone again, Takuru admitted distancing himself, his strength isolated him before others could even try to connect. Takuru remembered their words, those who stayed, protected, and believed in him during past struggles. He admitted his arrogance, finally recognizing strength alone blinded him from seeing allies who stood nearby. Looking around, he found those who weren't powerful but still chose to fight and stay. Turning to Echidna, he expressed gratitude for showing he was never truly alone in battle. Lightning surged around him. Takuru stood tall, armed with conviction and the strength born from shared bonds. Echidna gave up, releasing Typhos, realizing too late her selfish survival couldn't outweigh coming destruction. Fueled by desperation, Typhos prepared one final dimension, shattering strike aimed straight at Takuru without hesitation. As she roared, darkness exploded around her, screaming Kusanagi, Takuru's name, before launching an overwhelming assault. Takuru stood his ground, unleashing a divine storm of energy through his ultimate judgment spell. The battlefield erupted as Koronos pierced the sky, cleansing chaos and obliterating Typhos with divine fury. Echidna, overwhelmed, stared in disbelief as Takuru's final attack shattered her last hopes completely. A blinding explosion consumed the battlefield, erasing Typhos and purging darkness with unstoppable divine force. As smoke cleared, Takuru stood tall, silent, watchful, and prepared for whatever threat would come next. A massive explosion tears reality apart, caused by a mysterious force cracking through dimensional walls. Takuru stands amid destruction, having erased Typhos, entirely wielding power far beyond human comprehension. He approaches Echidna, who's weakened and shocked by the black mass forming behind him. While Echidna struggles to speak, Takuru calmly questions her about a mysterious prophecy. Before revealing the truth, Echidna clutches her chest, overwhelmed by the energy radiating from him. Suddenly, a knight emerges and impales her, leaving her frozen in shock and pain. Bleeding heavily, she realizes her wound won't regenerate. Death now feels inevitable for the powerful demon. Takuru watches silently as Echidna collapses, ignoring desperate cries from her shocked comrade nearby. Elsewhere, Typhos's remnants form alliances. Echidna's name is mentioned among those using each other for advantage. Now dressed and revived, Echidna receives a gift, adapting to new circumstances in the human world. Within a bar of outcasts, someone invites Echidna to join their rogue guild of strays. Bloodied but smiling, Echidna tells Jin it was fun, sharing one last farewell through words. She collapses into his arms, her breath weakening, emotions flickering across her fading eyes and smile. Unable to hold back grief, Jin clutches her tightly, pain exploding as his rage builds within, screaming in fury. He launches himself toward the enemy, driven by Echidna's death and vengeance. Fists clenched, eyes wild, he declares vengeance, threatening to kill those responsible without hesitation. Before he can strike, a cheerful girl crashes down, sending Jin flying with overwhelming force. Surrounded by allies, she rejoices at his survival, calling out Sukuna, Chan in surprise and joy. More allies arrive on the scene. Ryer is scolded for going alone without waiting for others. Their banter stops abruptly as Takuru steps forward, cloaked in darkness, asking one chilling question, "Who are you?" Ryer introduces his allies, Dark Knight and Sukuna. Chan, Takuru silently notes their overwhelming composure. Thou wary, Takuru listens. Ryer insists they only came to punish the traitor, not fight him. Sukuna leaps forward joyfully, calling Takuru Uni-chan, while Ryer warns her to stop before punishment arrives. Before she can react, chains bind her. Another girl explains the princess would have been angry again. With a casual gesture, Ryer executes the traitor, smiling as cards rain and pierce the target's head. A small cube floats into his hand. The team departs with it, leaving behind wreckage. When Takuru questions the cube, Ryer simply says, "Trade secret," and prepares to return through magic. Takuru warns him not to leave. Ryer smirks, telling him to relax and conserve strength. Their eyes lock, exchanging a silent promise. "We'll meet again," both declare with mutual recognition and resolve left behind. Takuru wonders if these demons connect to the other world he once saved before. Authorities transport Jin without resistance. Silent and handcuffed, he accepts the consequences without a struggle. During the ride, Jin reflects on power, injustice, and how little time he believes remains. Suddenly, their vehicle is attacked. Explosions tear through the road, flipping cars in a violent ambush. Emerging injured, Jin is helped by comrades. Grateful, He learns Ouroboros was destroyed thanks to him. Thou shaken, Jin reaches for the weapon. Determination returns as he prepares to face unfinished business. Rallying loyal allies, he declares his mission. Only those willing to die should follow him now. Meanwhile, Takru returns to normal life. Summer break nears, but each person walks a different path. A subordinate reported success to the princess, returning Pandora and confirming Echidna had been eliminated. She acknowledged the outcome, calmly revealing she released someone tied to the ancient prophecy of the Messiah. Sukuna cried loudly, longing to reunite and play again with the man she called brother. Cradling Sukuna, the princess whispered vague promises while her armored knight awaited confirmation of unspoken plans. Meanwhile, at the Japanese Hunter Association, Renya urgently summoned all S-rank hunters for immediate deployment. Only 5 responded, shocking everyone present as confusion spread across the nearly empty meeting hall. Frustrated, Renya questioned the missing hunters, wondering why no one took Japan's threat seriously anymore. Karen silenced him, suggesting physical meetings were outdated and mocked the old-fashioned nature of their summons. The conversation derailed quickly, shifting toward food and luxurious inns instead of their national emergency briefing. Renya exploded, reminding them tax-funded vacations would end careers regardless of intentions or Hunter Association ranks. Karen insisted their mission remain noble, ignoring criticism about excessive spending from private guild operations. 2 more hunters joined. Hideo scolded Tenku loudly, trying to fix his posture and raise morale. Despite Hideo's energy, Tenku looked annoyed, complaining about volume and uncomfortable familiarity with his first name. The older hunter teased them both, hinting at romance, but Tenku found him exhausting to endure. Karen softly confessed her ideal type, someone selfless and kind, causing Tenku's heart to race unexpectedly. Tenku bluntly turned her down, stating he wasn't interested in dating. Leaving the room awkwardly quiet, Renya tried regaining order, overwhelmed by their antics, but relieved everyone was still mentally holding together. President Akahoshi arrived, formally addressing the room and acknowledging the few who managed to attend. Silence fell as the group grew serious, sensing the weight of the meeting about to begin. Akahoshi started the briefing, revealing Hebakawa's terrorist attack and the chaos it caused across the city. President Akahoshi delivered grim news, revealing recent events were linked to confirmed sightings of active demons. He explained demons lived inside the gates, beings from another world hidden beyond their known boundaries. The others questioned him, learning demons once appeared 20 years ago, then vanished after defeating one hunter. Igarashi clarified their deception: demons merely resemble humans but are unfeeling, violent monsters without mercy or empathy. The Hunter Association feared chaos, deciding to conceal the demons' return from the general public entirely. Despite the moral conflict, a system would be built where only S-rank hunters knew the truth. Karen recalled her parents' death, finally realizing the attacker might have been one of those demons. Sudden memories surfaced: bloodied fields, shadowy creatures, and a terrifying portal burned into her childhood nightmares forever. President ignored the reaction, continuing the meeting and shifting focus to their next classified discussion without hesitation. He introduced a mysterious boy named Kusanagi Takru, single-handed destroyer of the Ouroboros Guild. Shocking everyone present, Renya clarified the truth. Hebakawa was already unconscious when found caught on security cameras. Not hunters. Suspicion grew as Akahoshi stated Takru wasn't part of the association. Requesting any known information, Karen froze at the name, whispering it with uncertainty, memories stirring deep within her silent heart. Despite the questions, nobody revealed anything. Akahoshi laughed, amused by the secrecy and wasted gathering effort. Renya confronted him, realizing the meeting was staged. Only specific individuals had been intentionally summoned, feigning innocence. Akahoshi praised Renya's stress performance, assuring him the secretive show served its necessary purpose. As he exited, Akahoshi muttered coldly about lying to every S-rank hunter across the country. Alone, he viewed Takru's smiling childhood photos, smiling ominously while wondering how events would unfold next. She stood in silence, struggling to understand why Takru's name resurfaced after disappearing completely. Frustration built as she realized hiding his involvement was impossible with such major events unfolding rapidly. Determined, she messaged him immediately, convinced he had valid reasons for acting without notifying anyone. While walking, she encountered Akahoshi, who assured her Takru wouldn't be punished for recent actions. He explained the incident stemmed from poison targeting Takru's parents, not reckless aggression against Ouroboros, as others were assigned. She questioned why she alone was informed. Akahoshi revealed it was personal. Hearing the word friends made her hesitate. She wasn't sure what their relationship truly meant anymore. Later, confusion lingered. She questioned whether friends accurately described the distant, complicated bond she shared with him. Searching for clarity, she looked up the meaning, Wondering if they really supported each other equally, Momiji interrupted her thoughts, cheerfully arriving and reminding her of the warmth she had nearly forgotten. Momiji lit up with excitement, dragging her sister along with sudden energy and sparkling determination. The next morning arrived bright and clear as crowds gathered across the restored shopping district. Takeru walked alone through the area, arms full of bags, lost in casual observation and thoughts. Despite the crowd, he remained focused, replacing his broken phone and gathering gear after recent battles. Unexpectedly, a small girl bumped into him. She stumbled but quickly apologized before he could speak. Recognizing the ribbon, Takeru looked up and found himself face to face with a surprised Takamine. She demanded an explanation, frustrated that her message had gone completely ignored without any response. Tears welled up in her eyes. She confessed how long she had waited alone. Watching from the side, Momiji muttered nervously it was scary seeing her sister so emotional and upset. Then, without warning, she beamed and shouted, assuming the two were now officially a couple. She came up with a surprise idea, eyes sparkling with excitement and absolute determination. The following day, a shopping mall bustled with people enjoying summer break under the clear skies. Kusanagi walked through the crowd, arms full of bags, reflecting on the week's fast recovery. After replacing his broken phone, he continued gathering gear for his next climbing mission. A sudden bump sent the girl tumbling. He offered a hand, apologizing immediately with concern. Spotting her ribbon, he realized who she was, just before Takamine greeted him brightly. Takamine confronted him angrily, demanding why he ignored her messages after everything that happened. Momiji recalled a romantic drama, realizing Takamine's anger came from feeling lonely and left out. With sparkling eyes, Momiji pointed at them, assuming immediately they were secretly dating all along. They stood frozen as Momiji proudly announced her shocking conclusion, drawing stares from nearby shoppers. Takamine panics as a friend mistakes Kusanagi for her boyfriend. Awkward misunderstandings quickly escalate. Desperate to clarify, she blurts out friend, but even that doesn't feel quite right. Kusanagi nervously over-explains Takamine's popularity, trying to save face as onlookers react with surprise. Momiji excitedly invites Kusanagi to join their shopping trip, hoping to learn about her sister. The trio walks through a lively shopping district, blending in like a picture-perfect little family. Inside a clothing store, Kusanagi and Takamine enjoy the moment while Momiji watches them fondly. They eat ice cream together, sharing laughter. Kusanagi gently pats Takamine's head, surprising her completely. Elsewhere, Wingard celebrates their promotion, only to spot Kusanagi's group and react with curiosity. Mamoru's friends mistake the outing for a date, shocked to see a child with them. Momiji beams happily, thinking how fun outings are, unaware that something ominous begins to approach. Seeing the child tremble, Momiji grabs his hand and urges him to start running immediately. With courage, she leads him forward. Behind them, Kusanagi and Takamine rush toward the danger. Momiji suddenly vanished in the crowd, and panic spread as her sister desperately searched everywhere. A gate break unleashed monsters inside the area, forcing people to cry out for urgent help. Takamine gathered information quickly, describing Momiji's appearance, hoping someone noticed the small girl among the chaos. One witness recalled seeing her heading fearlessly toward the gate break, while everyone else had fled. From deep within the park, a towering monster appeared, footsteps shaking the ground with every step. Momiji comforted a younger girl, assuring her they would be safe despite failing to escape. She spoke confidently about her sister's strength, believing rescue would come if they stayed hidden. Meanwhile, Sakura received urgent orders: take the child and run. Leave the injured behind to survive. Overwhelmed with fear, she hesitated but finally turned and sprinted away as destruction erupted nearby. Standing frozen, Momiji now faced terrifying monsters alone, courage wavering as they closed in around her. Takamine sprinted with lightning crackling, driven by fear of losing Momiji like someone else before. Up ahead, Momiji collapsed while shielding the girl, forcing her sister to break into a desperate dash. Every muscle screamed as she pushed harder, terrified by the sight of her sister in danger. Just before the monster struck, Takamine arrived, her voice filled with panic as she screamed Momiji's name. Kusanagi launched in, kicking the beast across the field, protecting both children without a moment's hesitation. With magic unleashed, he cast a freezing spell that shattered the ground and halted everything instantly. Shards of ice rained down as Takamine stared in awe, relief flooding her after the chaos. Later, Kusanagi waited calmly while police arrived, handing over duties without seeking thanks or attention. Takamine approached to offer gratitude, learning even the lost boy's parents had also been safely found. Though embarrassed by her panic, she thanked him. He reassured her, appreciating her constant concern instead. Takamine praised Kusanagi's skill, realizing his movements came from experience far beyond a typical civilian's past. She finally asked the question lingering inside her heart, no longer wanting to doubt him anymore. Just as Kusanagi prepared to reveal everything, Momiji jumped between them, breaking the tension completely. With bold innocence, she demanded they reconcile through a kiss, believing it would solve everything instantly. Takamine laughed awkwardly, offering to walk back together, touched by Momiji's well-meaning but chaotic attempt. As they strolled along the riverbank, Kusanagi admitted feeling envious of their sibling bond and closeness. Takamine called Momiji her treasure, sharing how losing their parents made her vow to become stronger. Her past regrets shaped her resolve. If she became stronger, Momiji would never feel alone again. Kusanagi understood, explaining he became a hunter to protect others and give Momiji a peaceful future. Before parting ways, he confessed memories might return soon, and when they do, he may forget everything. Kusanagi quietly revealed the truth: he wasn't the real Takeru, only someone borrowing that name temporarily. Despite the revelation, Takamine smiled gently, calling him a friend, even if one day he forgets. Kusanagi was moved by her words, smiling warmly before she interrupted with something on her mind. Unsure of what friendship meant, she asked what they should actually do as friends now. To find answers, Kusanagi searched online, reading definitions and trying to act accordingly with uncertainty. Their conversation turned playful, her teasing tone making him feel more relaxed than ever before. The next day, morning began bright and clear, as new journeys waited to begin again. Kusanagi joined a cheerful companion, heading to Niigata for their next destination, meeting Yusuji Kikyo. Far away, inside a sacred shrine, a mysterious ritual was underway involving Takeru's true identity. Kusanagi and Byodoin ascended the mountain trail, unaware they neared a legend buried deep in silence. Mana filled the forest air, making their bodies feel lighter with every step they continued upward. Byodoin revealed the mountain's hidden role, a place connected to another world, ideal for building sacred ground. Ancient yokai and spirits, he explained, all stem from dragon veins pulsing beneath lands like these. Kusanagi learned he was trusted only because of his honorary status within the Quirin society. The Uesugi family guarded this land for generations, prepared to confront monsters entering from other realms. A decade ago, an unknown creature devastated the region, leaving behind nothing but scorched stone and echoes. Only one survived, the girl named Kikyu, who sealed the beast with her sister's final sacrifice. Kusanagi questioned Kikyu's nature, but her rare magazine appearance hinted her life was anything but ordinary. Suddenly, a shadow dropped from above. It wasn't human. A monster beyond monsters appeared without warning. Suma deflects the powerful blow, barely keeping balance as the seasoned warrior evaluates his reaction calmly. Kikyu, revered S-rank hunter, commends their training, but her presence radiates undeniable pressure and dominance. Before anyone breathes, Kikyu charges, overwhelming Suma with speed and weight that belies her graceful movements. Mockery turns serious. She erupts with fury, launching Suma skyward from a devastating counterattack he misjudged. Without hesitation, Kikyu turns toward the next challenger, unimpressed by his composure or startled expression. Suma watches silently as she blocks his path, declaring passage only earned through demonstrated strength. Their clash begins. Magic circles swirl as he strikes, her blade answering with speed and precision. Exchanges grow faster. Kikyu notes his endurance, recognizing he's no ordinary hunter, adapting under pressure. Despite her relentless offense, he defends skillfully, hardening his arm while waiting for an opening. Attempting a counter, he lunges, but she sidesteps easily. Blade aimed, cold eyes whisper one word: naive. Kikyu calmly invokes her secret technique, Kachora, channeling power through her sword with eerie precision. With a fierce grin, she lunges, testing whether his hardened defense withstands her brutal downward strike. To her surprise, he dodges mid-swing, smoothly disarming her with a calculated motion and perfect timing. Kikyu momentarily freezes as the spell he cast echoes ancient power, something far beyond ordinary hunter magic. Quickly regaining composure, she laughs nervously, declaring the test concluded before she escalates it further. Realizing the duel was only a trial, he learns passage is barred to weak hunters. Later, a hidden letter from Suma reveals his expectations and praises the boy's overwhelming strength. They resume their journey through the mountains, joined by an elder atop a strange fluffy beast. Asked about his goal, the boy admits he seeks exorcism for a ghost within himself. His past cloaked in mystery, he explains possession granted power, but he longs for normalcy again. Kikyu smiles gently, intrigued by his story, and invites him to explain everything in detail. Together they head toward her estate, its peaceful atmosphere contrasting the intensity of their earlier battle. Later, steam rises from the hot springs as exhaustion finally catches up with his weary body. He gazes at the star-filled sky, overwhelmed by warmth, comfort, and sudden overwhelming hospitality from strangers. In quiet reflection, he wonders if this world's stars mirror his own, pondering deeper cosmic questions. An unexpected accident lands him face to face with a beautiful elf, prompting chaos and fierce accusations. Suddenly, a mysterious girl appears before him, silent, ethereal, her presence freezing him mid-thought, heart pounding. Steam clouded the bath as Takeru froze, realizing someone else had entered without noticing him. Panicking quietly, he crouched behind rocks, confused why she wasn't warned someone was already bathing inside. She sighed, clearly unaware, calmly relaxing in the spring, while Takeru desperately hoped she would leave. Lowering her gaze, she mumbled about her struggles with people, thinking aloud with trembling hands. Despite her fear, she encouraged herself, determined to fulfill her role for the Usuji family. Takeru observed her resolve, surprised by the unexpected strength behind her normally timid and quiet behavior. Suddenly another girl burst in, armed with a ladle, demanding to know who was there. Their awkward gazes met shock, embarrassment, and confusion, spread as they stood completely exposed before each other. A piercing scream echoed through the night, followed by frantic footsteps, scattering across the courtyard building. The next morning, she smiled brightly, teasing Takeru, who still remembered everything from last night's surprise. She instructed Takeru to close his eyes, breathe deeply, and visualize himself from above. Takeru entered deep concentration, his presence growing still as if no surrounding sound could reach him. Although his story seemed false, she sensed no deception in his calm and honest demeanor. She admitted her divine lineage allowed her to detect lies, yet his truth felt sincere. Stepping closer, she promised to uncover the truth by directly examining what dwelled inside him. A vision engulfed her, light and wind surrounding her, transporting her to a boundless realm of memory. She walked forward through the petals, sensing a presence hidden beneath the field's serene surface. The piece carried beauty and calm, but also something distant, aching quietly beneath the silence. Suddenly, she noticed a swirl of dark energy and overwhelming grief rising from the flowers. A headless warrior appeared before her, blade drawn, as she readied her weapon without hesitation. She unleashed a devastating strike, piercing the enemy's chest and ending the chaotic battle instantly. Surrounded by corpses, she confronted the intruder, unleashing raw power with fury burning behind widened eyes. A stranger collapsed before him. Confused, he froze as she recited an unfamiliar incantation. Suspicion rose in her voice. She questioned his identity, eyes locked with sharpened intuition and caution. The boy fled across rooftops, pursued relentlessly. Her sword's fury shattered tiles and missed narrowly. Dodging debris, he realized escape was impossible. She kept attacking with perfect precision and terrifying speed. Spinning forward, she prepared a finishing blow. He summoned a magic shield, barely deflecting her strike. Each clash pushed him back. Her strength overwhelmed him. She fought like a seasoned veteran, merciless and focused. Apologizing mid-battle, he activated a new spell. Magic surged, forming a vortex of wind between them. She dashed ahead, cutting through wind. Determined, unstoppable, she readied herself for whatever spell he cast next. A ribbon flew loose mid-charge. Her expression shifted from aggression to sudden, overwhelming panic and fear. Without warning, she stopped attacking. He cautiously approached, confused by her strange behavior and sudden emotional reaction. Dropping to her knees, she wailed. The ribbon was her sister's keepsake, her last precious memory. Hearing her cry, he panicked. Unsure what to do, he apologized and fled toward the sealed cave. Inside the massive cavern, he marveled at the structure, towering, ancient, and clearly housing dangerous magical power. Despite warnings, an arrogant warrior arrived, boasting about orders to release something sealed within the forbidden place. She emerged from the shadows, bloodied but calm. With cold certainty, she repeated, "Entry here is forbidden." A decade ago, the previous Messiah's terrifying power helped forge a path through destruction. Faced with monstrous routes ahead, the group advanced, bolstered by the sacrifices of those before. Wasugi to Tsubaki, confident and calm, took the lead, signaling the beginning of their decisive movement forward. A young girl hesitated, overwhelmed by emotions, but received strength through a simple nod and push. She tied her hair, stood tall, and rushed forward, moved by her sister's presence. Tsubaki embraced her tightly, overwhelmed by affection, declaring Kikyu the most adorable girl in existence. Tears formed again as Kikyu returned the hug, surrounded by smiling, supportive family members watching close by. Tsubaki whispered that clumsy words didn't matter. Expressing feelings truly was always enough to reach hearts. With a triumphant pose, she swore to survive until witnessing Kikyu in a wedding dress. Even later, Kikyu remembered Tsubaki's light. Her courage and warmth gave strength to those who followed her. Aosindake's safety crumbled. Servants departed. The Usuji family never returned from sealing the monster. Survivors blamed Kikyu's survival. She wondered if dying in her sister's place would have been easier. Uncertainty filled her. She regretted being unable to stop anyone or offer words of comfort. Responsibility weighed heavily. Without the strength to protect, she watched everything slip away, powerless and afraid. Memories lingered. Every life lost had meaning. She now bore the duty to protect it. Trying to emulate her sister, she tied her hair and forced herself to keep smiling. Tears surfaced. She hated this weakness, feeling trapped alone beneath unbearable expectations and overwhelming guilt. Kusanagi confessed his pain. He changed by meeting others who embraced him just as he was. Hearing his story, Kikyu remained silent, realizing how lucky he was to find kind people. Returning home, Kusanagi greeted his friend, surprised by the warmth hidden beneath their usual roughness. He wandered deep into the mountain path, still unsure where to begin or what awaited. Searching proved frustrating. He doubted himself, wishing his heart were purer like Byuduin's had been. Meeting Kiyu again, he asked about the strange darkness. She confirmed something had been inside him. Confused, he questioned her more. The idea of two souls seemed impossible in one body. She explained her strength came from borrowing spirits, not hosting them, which made it less dangerous. The concept unsettled him. If possession ejects the original soul, where had Teiku's spirit gone? A sudden encounter surprised him. A fox appeared silently, staring straight into his soul with purpose. The fox darted ahead, glanced back, clearly inviting him to follow through the narrow, winding path. At the trail's end, he discovered the lost hair tie. Relief and joy filled his heart. He thanked the fox. In return, it asked for help, casually revealing its ability to speak. The fox's request was simple: protect the girl he'd just been walking with earlier. Despite doubts, he agreed. She was strong, but everyone needed someone to lean on occasionally. Grateful, the fox smiled warmly. It entrusted Kikyu's care to him, then quietly disappeared without explanation. Before vanishing completely, it left a final request: keep its existence secret from Kikyu. Suddenly, light flared. Takeru found himself back where he started, confused by the abrupt teleportation magic. Kikyu spotted him first, surprised. She approached, questioning his sudden reappearance and what he had been doing. He returned her lost hair tie. She was shocked. He'd searched for it all along. Tears welled as she embraced him tightly. The gesture caught him completely off guard and speechless. They exchanged thanks, both smiling. Gratitude for the small act drew them quietly closer than before. Embarrassment followed. Kikyu teased him for enjoying the hug, masking her emotions behind playful, awkward words. Watching from afar, she smiled confidently, believing Kikyu would be safe with that strange boy. A monstrous figure raged, screaming. Tsubaki declared her sister was no longer alone or unprotected anymore. Responsibility now passed to him. If Kikyo cried again, her allies would make him pay. A fluffy creature entrusted Anira with guiding Takeru, sensing his journey was far from over. Takeru returned from the meeting, unsure of answers, while others resumed their normal daily routines. Talk of possession and exorcism revealed dangers, but Takeru remained unaffected by any spiritual intrusion. Anira observed calmly, as Takeru was told he didn't need any exorcism at all. Even so, questions lingered. Takeru's soul hadn't returned. Possibilities of extinguishment or transfer were quietly considered. Facing the unchanged cliffside, he realized nothing progressed. He needed to decide his next step. Suddenly, the ground split open beneath him, unleashing a powerful force erupting toward the quiet sky. Elsewhere, Kikyu noticed the disturbance. Though surprised, she calmly acknowledged time had simply run out. Suma attempted to help, but Kikyu insisted this was her burden alone to carry forward. Before departing, she handed Suma to Anira, trusting her years of training and brotherly care. Kikyu quietly begged Anira to protect everyone, entrusting her with a heartfelt plea and purpose. She expressed gratitude to the villagers, requesting mana, knowing what lay ahead required immense strength. With final resolve, she whispered, "Goodbye," scattering talismans into the wind as her path began. Anira dashed through the chaos, while Suma shouted desperately for her to return immediately. Torn between loyalty and duty, Suma resisted, refusing to abandon Uesugi-san during the danger. Despite the urgency, Anira followed orders, retreating while questions about her true nature surfaced. Memories resurfaced. Kikyu had once gifted Anira for protection, trusting the Shikigami with someone dear. Sheep-like yet powerful, Anira's appearance caused playful rivalry and laughter, but her value was unquestioned. The group admired Anira's transformation, impressed by her charm, strength, and surprising fluffy form. In many lives, Anira remained close, trained alongside them, guarding memories and bonds that never faded. A young girl embraced Anira tightly, making a promise to stay together no matter what. Memories of past vows echoed in her plea, as Anira stood firm without saying anything. Despite Suma's command, Anira refused retreat, recognizing her presence was needed more than ever now. She returned injured, yet determined, shocking Suma, who couldn't understand her defiance in staying behind. Reunited with Byuduin, Anira perched calmly, while her wounds hinted at the toll endured silently. Efforts to heal began. Though not a skilled healer, Byuduin comforted her with gentle magic. Amid gnarled roots and twisted ground, the trio looked ahead, knowing the path was far from over. Suma pleaded for help, urging Byuduin to join forces and fight the growing darkness together. Realizing Uesugi might be fighting alone, Byuduin decided to return and support her immediately. Just then, a mysterious fox appeared, offering guidance to the one now searching for purpose. A dark presence waited deep within, calling out Kikyu's name with eerie calm and confidence. She entered the chamber solemnly, where her strange mirror image welcomed her with an unsettling smile. Mocking words followed, noting copied appearances and childhood, envy hidden beneath sarcastic tones and forced friendliness. Illusions of familiar figures appeared beside the enemy, pretending to offer warmth and reunion falsely. Kikyo grasped her sword with resolve. Knowing these memories were lies meant to weaken her, she stepped forward, declaring herself a divine vessel wielding power to cleanse evil without hesitation. A magical barrier surged beneath them, inscribed with her sacred vow to protect the innocent. With unwavering fury, Kikyo promised death to anything that dared to threaten her sister's safety again. He dashed ahead recklessly, ignoring the fox spirit's role as guide through the chaotic mountains. While following, the fox explained something stronger than a monster was rampaging near the source of mana. It wasn't just a monster. The ancient entity was a demon named Naraku, born through dark magic. Naraku's soul crossed worlds through a dragon's vein, requiring a vessel to move in this reality. The people feared Naraku's illusions, worshipping it as a mountain god before the Uesugi sealed it. But that seal weakened. Though the demon lost strength, the Uesugi resealed it at great cost. Tsubasa appeared in spirit form, explaining the demon had taken her body as a suitable vessel. Because Uesugi blood holds divine power, Tsubasa's body became perfect for containing Naraku's destructive soul. Now Naraku seeks Kikyo, a powerful girl, to return as a god through her body. The fox revealed only divine power could harm Naraku's soul, which they once barely managed to seal. The fox hesitated, but believed Kikyo could withstand Naraku's influence if she fought with resolve. Training intensified as Kikyo struggled under pressure, defending endlessly while facing her possessed older sister's strikes. Despite familiarity, the possessed sister's movements were lethal. Naraku's soul had completely taken over her body. Kikyo countered fiercely with a secret technique, summoning an ethereal dragon to push the enemy back. The fierce duel continued, blades clashing with force as the enemy smirked through a corrupted face. Watching them clash triggered painful memories how they once trained, argued, and laughed in peaceful days. Naraku's taunts grew crueler, mocking Kikyo's fears and childish dependence on the plush sheep toy. Rage broke through hesitation. Kikyo struck hard, slicing through Naraku's manipulation with a cry of fury. Blood spilled. Her hand trembled. Naraku only laughed madly, feeding on the despair and chaos. Unleashing divine power, Kikyo rejected the illusion. She shouted to end the imposter's false identity. Kikyo struck decisively, her divine blade severing shadowy tendrils as Naraku's spell disintegrated mid-air. The enemy's illusion faltered, revealing a tearful plea. Her sister's voice begged for life, not death. Kikyo hesitated. The body begged for help, yet something unnatural still lingered behind her sister's eyes. A mocking voice emerged. Naraku revealed itself again, feeding on sorrow, thrilled by human vulnerability and pain. Tsubasa's memories were twisted. Naraku used them to torment Kikyo, clinging tightly to her vessel. The demon urged surrender. Familiar faces appeared, offering comfort. Illusions spun from memories to deceive and subdue. Visions overwhelmed Kikyo. She gasped, recalling real bonds, shaking off the fog clouding her heart. Through smoke and blood, Takeru rushed in, catching Kikyo's fading body before it could collapse. As he held her close, Kikyo apologized, unable to land a killing blow in time. Before explanations could continue, another warrior approached his words casual, hiding the sharp threat behind his blade. Takeru raised his shield too late. A surprise attack struck, sending him crashing to the ground. Time slipped away. Blood poured from Kikyo's wounds faster than his healing spell could restore her. The fox arrived calmly assessing the scene. It offered to take over, requesting her hair tie. With a flower in its grasp, the fox nestled close, casting a mysterious and ancient ritual. Takeru watched, stunned. The fox declared it would use its life to fuel healing magic. Despite knowing the cost, the fox smiled faintly, reminding Takeru of a vow they once made. He nodded solemnly. Fulfilling that promise meant protecting Kyo's soul, even if her strength failed. Facing his enemy again, he admitted his weakness. Fighting while protecting others was never his strength. Still, determination hardened his stance. He warned the enemy, crossing the line would cost everything. With dark resolve, Takeru declared his intent to kill. The demon mocked, but tension thickened instantly. Though gravely wounded, Kikyo began healing. The fox's sacrifice had unleashed powerful, near impossible restorative magic. She weakly thanked the fox. It confessed its own struggles, hiding fear behind forced cheerfulness for years. Memories surfaced: Kikyo's tears, her openness. Tsubasa had once envied that honesty, though it felt burdensome then. Every knee, Sama grounded her. Those words reminded Tsubasa she wasn't alone, giving strength to keep moving forward. Now, nestled beside Kikyo, the fox swore to save her, no matter what the cost. Takeru arrived quietly, his thoughts heavy, unsure how to face the waiting Anira again. Though he tried speaking, Anira suddenly ran, leaving him stunned and shouting in confusion after the creature. Without warning, Anira tackled him warmly, rubbing its face affectionately against his chest, refusing emotional distance. Takru relaxed, smiling softly as he embraced Anira, comforted by its wordless but overwhelming support. The ground trembled, he sensed something wrong, suspecting monsters had awakened due to the shifting dragon's vein. With urgency in his voice, he entrusted Kikyu to Anira, then dashed toward the growing threat. Gripping his weapon, he radioed headquarters, requesting aid from Niigata's Yomotsudake region immediately and firmly. Recalling past inspiration, he launched into battle, determined to protect everyone with elegance and resolve. With blazing courage, Takru shouted to the enemies, challenging them all to come face him. Elsewhere, a girl remembered her sister's strength and kindness, feeling her legacy live on through others. Kyukyu watched from afar, holding Anira tightly, unsure if she could ever reach everyone safely. She stepped forward carefully, realizing only she remained, carrying responsibility that weighed heavily on her small shoulders. Facing adults and peers, she understood that dwelling on regrets would solve nothing, urging herself onward. Memories of weakness haunted her heart, filling her with frustration and a desire to overcome fear. She imagined fighting like her sister, wielding strength and skill to change fate's merciless path. Determined, she shouted at herself, knowing she must grow stronger or fail those she loved. Kikyu questioned what it truly meant to be strong, searching within for guidance and courage. Two figures appeared, comforting her, promising companionship and reassurance through the challenges that still lay ahead. Suddenly, the air shifted violently, revealing an ominous presence that made her freeze in fear. Horrified, she faced a monstrous figure, realizing the battle and her journey towards strength had begun. Kikyu finally confronted her sister, realizing despite growth, she still felt small and insecure inside. Embracing tightly, she admitted her loneliness and confusion, revealing vulnerability she had long kept hidden. Tears fell as she confessed weakness, apologizing for being unable to defeat Naraku like her sister. Her sister reassured her gently, explaining the importance of expressing feelings directly, teaching strength through example. Suddenly, a dangerous force erupted, shaking the ground and testing their resolve, threatening all nearby. Kikyu recognized the risk, understanding only one person could wield divinity to counteract the situation. She vowed to survive the seal's trial, knowing escape and full potential depended on perseverance. A stubborn ally intervened, refusing to leave, promising to remain until the seal's process completed safely. Strategically, her sister explained Kikyu's qualities, emphasizing perseverance, dedication, and ability to overcome challenges effectively. Despite threats, she declared firmly that Kikyu's determination and spirit would never lose against anyone. Kikyu apologized to everyone for the burdens she carried alone, promising to support them always. Her sister reminded her of unique strengths, encouraging individuality rather than emulating anyone else unnecessarily. Kikyu was urged to acknowledge herself, embracing her own value and courage without hesitation or fear. Grateful and smiling, she felt reassured, realizing love and support surrounded her constantly, unconditionally. The sisters shared a final hug, vowing to watch over each other through all challenges. Elsewhere, intense combat erupted as fighters clashed, displaying extraordinary skill and unwavering determination under extreme pressure. A tense standoff ensued, testing both strategy and resolve, as powers clashed violently across the battlefield. Observing from distance, Kikyu noted a young fighter, intrigued by his ability to counter threats calmly. He reflected on limitations, realizing creative tactics and perseverance mattered more than conventional divinity-based skills. With composure, he began advancing, greeting the challenge boldly, ready to face the chaos head-on. Kikyu thanked Takru, realizing he had protected her, giving her confidence to face the future. She reflected on how acknowledgement from others changed her, making her feel stronger than before. The sisters smiled together, knowing support and understanding empowered them more than any skill or technique. Kikyu declared she could accomplish anything now, feeling truly strong because she fully accepted herself completely. Chanting ancient incantations, the woman releases immense power. Takru watches, sensing something beyond mortal comprehension. Her voice deepens, invoking forbidden words. Flames of spiritual energy swirl violently, threatening to consume everything nearby. As the ritual peaks, blinding light envelops her form. Divine force bends reality to her will. Enemies charge through the chaos. She glares fiercely, unleashing the sealed power toward those defying her. Takru steps forward, calm but resolute. He refuses to let her cross the forbidden boundary. Steel clashes, energy bursts violently. Each movement between them speaks determination, neither willing to surrender control. The woman lunges with fierce rage, her attacks infused with desperation. Takru deflects, struggling to hold ground. Sensing danger, she feels dread tightening her chest. "If I don't stop her now," echoes within. Her assault fails to pierce his defense. Shock fills her eyes as his counterstrike breaks through. Blow lands fiercely. Mark on her neck glows ominously. Takeru freezes, recognizing something terrifying about her. Furious and bleeding, she charges again. Her hatred fuels every strike, breaking through the crumbling barrier. Takeru braces as explosive energy erupts. The blast engulfs everything, leaving only light and smoke behind. Image 13. When the dust settles, he smiles faintly. Great work, Anira, he says, proud yet cautious. The fallen warrior glares upward, chanting through pain. Her voice trembles, summoning divine fury once more. Flames spiral skyward as her power revives. Broken clay soldiers crumble before her fiery resurrection. Dark energy manifests a colossal figure. Grant me strength to crush them, her desperate plea echoes. The goddess's wrath awakens. Light burns around her body as divine power floods the battlefield. A demonic form emerges, horns shining with energy. She lands fiercely, roaring with renewed determination. Takeru attacks swiftly. Realizing her true nature, normal strikes pass through harmlessly against her spirit form. He dodges her assault, panting heavily. The ground splits open beneath them, signaling the battle's escalation. Takeru grips her tightly, divine flame surrounding them both. His calm eyes pierce through her fury. She struggles violently, screaming threats and fear. He remains silent, ready to sacrifice everything for victory. The power inside him surges uncontrollably. Flames burn his body as he fights to remain conscious. She steadies herself, focusing her thoughts. One perfect strike could end everything if her resolve stays unbroken. Confidence replaces doubt. She embraces the raging fire, knowing hesitation will destroy her before any enemy can. Raising her sword, she commands the flames. Burn away the evil soul, echoes across the battlefield. A massive fiery beast charges forth, devouring darkness and consuming every trace of corruption in sight. Takeru braces as the inferno collides. The roaring creature dissolves, releasing light brighter than dawn itself. The heavens split open, beams descending. Purification spreads outward, erasing hatred, sorrow, and lingering malice entirely. As peace returns, light fades softly. Above, a familiar presence smiles. Watching their victory from afar, exhausted, she staggers forward, clutching her side. The last remnants of battle fade away. Takeru catches her gently before she falls. Relief softens his expression as peace returns around them. Smiling faintly, she thanks him for his effort. Her voice trembles, filled with genuine warmth. Days later, calm returns. The Hunter Association discusses reconstruction, while the survivors slowly rebuild their spirits. She decides to leave the shrine behind. A new beginning awaits beyond familiar temple walls. Explaining her choice, she admits her duty ended with the seal's fall and world's survival. Takeru nods quietly, understanding. He agrees to accompany her, their paths aligned once more. Reflecting, he recalls the battle's chaos. Her power spared him, proving he was never her enemy. She gazes thoughtfully at him. In your eyes, am I good or evil? She wonders. Smiling at the shrine, she leaves a charm behind, symbol of closure, gratitude, and moving forward. With a bright smile, she steps forward into sunlight, her journey continuing toward new beginnings ahead.
Takeru quietly carved a wooden object while recalling Naraku and the fallen soldiers. His companion returned after finding everyone dead, leaving more questions than answers. The report about the missing mana troubled him. He accepted the next mission, but suspected the incident was far from ordinary. Doubt continued to grow as Takeru wondered whether humans knew the truth behind recent events. He decided to investigate carefully. Elsewhere, an elderly man calmly observed a chessboard, preparing his strategy in silence. A single chess piece moved forward, marking the beginning of a hidden plan. Takeru slowly opened his eyes as an old memory resurfaced. A faded photo reminded him of the peaceful days he once shared with a close companion. Both of them were found resting on the grass after the memory returned. Confusion quickly turned into relief as they realized they were safe. Smiles replaced their uncertainty, and they happily ran together across the open field. Moments later, a familiar man arrived and warmly lifted both children onto his shoulders, filling the scene with joy. Suddenly, Takeru rushed forward, determined to protect the precious family moment from an unexpected threat. Takeru enjoyed a peaceful moment with his family as they played together. A gentle pat on his head made him smile, despite his embarrassment. Warmth filled the gathering while everyone relaxed on the grass. The simple family time became a precious memory. Suddenly, Takeru opened his eyes in his hospital bed. The joyful scene vanished, revealing it had only been a vivid dream. While walking to school, he reflected on the strange memories and questioned whether they truly belonged to him. Later, new information revealed no childhood photos of Takeru before the age of 6, deepening the mystery surrounding his past. Takeru recalled that wandering souls often return to places connected to their past. The thought strengthened his resolve to uncover the truth. Soon after, he received a message from Takamine, believing his forgotten memories might hold important clues. He planned to ask for her help. The message invited him to meet after the academy's opening ceremony. He accepted the request without hesitation. At the ceremony, a famous rank hunter introduced herself as a part-time teacher. Her arrival immediately drew everyone's attention. The students welcomed her with excitement, while Takeru quietly observed, sensing she had a greater purpose behind her visit. Takeru watched the new teacher leave before noticing another familiar student nearby. The unexpected meeting left him quietly surprised. Soon after, a transfer student named Saiju Karen entered the classroom. As an S-rank hunter, she immediately became the center of attention. Excitement spread across the room, while everyone reacted to her impressive reputation. Karen calmly greeted the class, despite the overwhelming response. Takeru observed her introduction in silence. Karen returned a cheerful smile, marking the beginning of their first encounter. Later, the students discussed Karen's remarkable achievements. Meanwhile, she walked through the hallway, seemingly enjoying her new school life. As Takeru walked through the hallway, his friend pointed out Karen's popularity, and noticed she spoke differently from most Kansai locals. The observation made Takeru curious. His friend recalled that Takeru had admired Karen before losing his memories. Although surprised, Takeru felt an unexplained sense of familiarity. Their conversation ended as they parted ways after school. Left alone, Takeru continued thinking about the strange connection. While crossing the campus, he spotted two girls standing nearby. Their presence immediately caught his attention. Before he could approach, one of them happily called Takeru's name. The unexpected reunion brought another familiar face back into his life. Takeru watched the two girls reconcile after clearing up a misunderstanding. The tense atmosphere gradually faded as they accepted each other's intentions. Curiosity arose when Karen realized Takeru and the girl already knew each other. Both hesitated before explaining their connection. Without thinking, the girl revealed an embarrassing detail about their past. Her careless words left Takeru completely stunned. Shock spread across the group as everyone misunderstood the situation. She quickly tried to correct her mistake before the confusion grew worse. After hearing the full explanation, Karen accepted the truth. The misunderstanding ended, allowing the conversation to continue peacefully. Karen praised Takeru's actions during the Ouroboros incident and acknowledged the burden he had carried. She then asked to speak with him privately. During their conversation, Karen revealed that the Hunter Association president had quietly resolved the incident. The news left Takeru uneasy, as Karen admitted she knew little about the investigation. Even so, she warned him that the association had earned a questionable reputation. Another student confirmed similar suspicions and advised Takeru not to get involved unnecessarily. Accepting the warning, Takeru promised to stay cautious. The discussion ended after Karen explained she had a different assignment and was not watching him. Karen cheerfully greeted the group after they finished talking. The friendly atmosphere quickly returned as everyone welcomed her. Kikyu confirmed Karen was not assigned to monitor Takeru. Curious about her real purpose, she asked why Karen had transferred to the academy. Instead of answering immediately, Karen rushed toward Takeru and embraced him tightly. Long-hidden emotions finally surfaced as she reunited with him. The sudden hug stunned everyone nearby. Both Kikyu and Karen's companion watched in complete disbelief, while Takeru froze in shock. Holding him close, Karen admitted she knew Takeru. Her unexpected words deepened the mystery surrounding his forgotten past. Karen revealed that she already knew about Takeru's memory loss and had known him long before the incident. Her words immediately caught his attention. Unable to hide his emotions, Takeru begged Karen to tell him everything about his forgotten past. Karen realized how determined he was and carefully considered his request. The others quietly watched the tense moment unfold. Instead of answering immediately, Karen offered a playful condition before revealing the truth, leaving Takeru completely speechless.